Who's following me? Who's following me? Who's following me? Who's following me?
Subscriber.
Ah! Who's following me? Alright, T-minus 10 seconds. Oh boy, the time is flying. The panic is settling in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I am not looking. Welcome back, folks. Dirk the Red Panda, here with some password. We're back to the good old pass of words. We are here with Tyson at first. Last time we did Dean then Tyson. I'm going to do a, what is it, like a snake or zip-like pattern, whatever the pattern is, where we snake around. So now we're gonna do Tyson then Dean. Next update would be Dean then Tyson. You get the gist. Alright, hello to everybody who joined. We got Perpy, Wolfstar, Dragon and Friends, and more. Alright, so we are on day 24, 25? It was very vague at the end of last update, so we don't know exactly. That's why I put day 25 question mark? Because I checked the update page and it was like, day question, path A? It was very ominous, which is very fun for this Halloween season. Yes, so we are there. We will go to the loading page, scroll all the way down to Tyson, and we ended with some tragic moments, unfortunately, with Roswell. Don't know what's going to be the outcome of it, but boy, is it scary. Is everybody doing okay before we start? Hopefully this isn't going to be much of a downer for everybody else. Oh, Perpy, I forgot about you. Did I say Perpy? I don't know. Alright. We are going to start in, I forgot to count the time, a minute. We will start in a minute. So today I had to make some last minute changes because just family stuff is happening a little earlier than I thought. Or well, I didn't expect the family stuff to happen tonight, but they're like, oh yeah, I want to do this thing tonight. I'm like, oh sure, I can't really pull myself out of it, otherwise I'd be just awkwardly sitting in my room while everybody else is doing whatever it is. So, obligations. I am pretty hyped. Yes, Billy Bob Joe, I am quite excited to see what comes of this. We've been left in quite a cliffhanger, so yes, I am more than excited for this. And this will be my first time playing this update or password on my PC mode. I was playing it on my Mac mode all these times before, so I had to transfer the saves, and so I did a little testing. It should work. I did on the last update at least to test it, and it seems fine. So, let's get started then, shall we? I'm quite ready. Okay. I think it's a little more somber than that. Okay. Oh no. Oh, it's a Thrasso perspective. Interesting. That day was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. The pain, the guilt, everything hitting me all at once. After so long of everything being planned out to prevent just that. Dave was dead. The memory of it was fuzzy. What happened next? Going downstairs, seeing him limp in Tyson's arms, Orlando wailing into the night sky. It was awful. You were so busy thinking about every other way that it could have gone bad, and the simplest outcome was what happened. But to make matters worse, I couldn't remember the details. Other bits and pieces were left. Were up to Thanatos to remember. No, no! Where are we? It all came back to that one memory I had. A strong memory from a long time ago, and I only know it was as one because Thanatos told me. The worst part is I could still feel the fire prickling at my skin and fur. I could smell the smog and ash clogging my nose and making it hard to breathe. I could hear Tyson screaming up above, and all I could taste the blood in my mouth from where I'd coughed it up. Amidst the heat and the pain, I knew where I was. I just didn't know why. Thanatos was there, but... are you there? Hypnos? It is! Teroswell is the creator, or the person who made Thanatos. Interesting. He wasn't talkative. He wasn't really much of anything back then, apparently. Just watching, waiting, listening. I think I'm the last one alive. As much as the smog made it hard to breathe, I was able to laugh. A cold and bitter laugh despite the fire raging in the house. It was a cruel reality that had landed us here. Events far outside of our control. Hey. Did you know this was going to happen? He didn't give anything away. Instead, just watching still. I need a favor. Please. He was listening. If I die, when I die, if you could save them. If you could save my friends. My vision was fading fast, but pleading for salvation with my robotic rat was all I had left. If not now, then for some time later. I knew what he was, and what he was meant to do. Maybe not then. I don't know. Is he gonna be the creator? So, if there was any chance, no matter how small, I had to gamble it out on all the hopes that things wouldn't turn out this way. Hypnos. Despite everyone else dying, you're going to live on, aren't you? You're not going to die. You're just going to... He came closer. I assumed it was a show of affection. That he knew what was happening. You should have been called Thanatos. 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 He mimicked my voice back at me. The slight incline of his head gesturing that he parroted back as a question. A god of death. Not sleep, but... if you can't die, then... I am a god of death. So please, Thanatos, save my friends. Oh no. Oh, I thought we were gonna change back perspectives. I opened my eyes slowly. My head was hurting. So, good morning. Thanatos, I'm not getting up. But Roswell, it's time to get up. I could hear him scrambling from the floor up to the top of the bed, and I rolled over in an attempt to ignore him. I'm not ready to be awake yet. Sure you are. What day is it? Good question. Let me check. It is day 5982. We are in the future. It's like Rick and Morty, but it's Thanatos and Roswell. Oh, that was cringe. Then again, if Fortnite can consider Rick and Morty Halloween themed, then honestly, this is Halloween themed. I can hear the murmuring of him checking his memory for a few seconds before proudly declaring his answer. By how we've been measuring, this is the 23rd day of this iteration's experiment. Ugh. So, yesterday? Oh yeah, I totally knocked you and Dave out. Why? I thought it'd be funny. I did it for the epic lols. Thanatos, you are really behind on the 8-ball with your jokes. Yeah. Hilarious. I thought Billy Bob was saying the same message. The chat is a bit confusing right now. I have to change it to live chat. That should do okay. Yes, we're back to 23. And he does a little bit of trolling. It's Thanatos, come on. What would we expect? Also, I should probably take this event list and reload it. Sorry about that. Don't want to remove all my followers. Well, lighten up. You were fine. Dave's probably fine. What do you mean, probably? Has he not woken up since? No. I swear, if you've done something to him, that'd get us nowhere. You know I wouldn't. On purpose, anyway. Do you remember? 20th day of experiment. Do you remember what happened after I put you under yesterday? More or less, I think. Tell me. I woke up mid-afternoon, sometime before dinner. Oswin was here, injected me with something, and I felt a little better. What else? I slept for a little more. He gave me another dose, and honestly, I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. Just waking up. Alright, good. So we know that's a way to get you up and going again. Hey. I need you to check something for me. It might take a little bit, but it's important. What? I need you to check your memories for when Dave dies again. Oh, dear God. Because I resonated again. Somehow. For some reason. Well, don't look at me. I didn't do anything. I know you didn't. I don't need you to explain it again either. I'll explain it to Dave then. Is it happening to him as well? I'm just imagining him, like, Roswell thinking about the Vault visions, and Dave's like, oh my gosh, I can see Vault visions! And Roswell's just like, wow, shocker. He's just like the, what is it, the Star Trek meme where the guy's just like one hand on his cheek or whatever. He's like, wow. And then finding out about Austin, it's like, wow. I think so. Harder to say. But it's no problem. I could totally go check my memories for all that bad stuff. What are you going to do in the meantime? Go back to sleep? While I do all the work? While I do all the work, fair chance I'm letting that happen. He kicked me slightly in an attempt to move me out of bed. Tiny rat curb stomps Roswell. Move your ass. You know I can't move it myself, otherwise I would. You're not my mom. Or your dad. Right. So get up, please. Who'd win, Little Rat versus Small Boar? Place your bets, folks. Place your bets. What's wrong with sleeping in a little longer? If I have to be working on this experiment, then you do too. Thanatos, you don't even sleep. I sleep. Enough. Spoken like a true college student. Coming from the guy who doesn't know what that's like. I smirked, though it faded fast upon remembering why that was. True. Sorry. I was on autopilot for a moment. It's fine. Do you know who else is awake? Just us. Oswin and Benson. Everyone should be in their rooms if nothing has deviated from what's happened here. Or what's happened before. Alright. I kicked my feet out lightly from under the covers to get started. I kicked my feet lightly from under the covers to start to get up, pushing myself to a sit and then rolling forward until my feet touched the carpet. Where are you going? Where are you going? Why are you walking there? To go have a talk with Oswin. I'll be quick. Fair enough. Let me know what happens with that, alright? You're just going to stay here after all? Well, if the bed is free, maybe I'll use it to get some sleep in. I roll my eyes as I changed out of my pajamas and into proper clothes. Please do the search for me. It's important. Don't worry. I'll get it done after I voice... Don't worry. I'll get it done after I get my voice set correctly for Dave. You're really not letting up over that. It's what Dave... Oh, that's his fancy voice. I never knew that was his other normal whatever voice. He has a different voice for... Okay! I've been doing it wrong this entire time. It's what Dave knows. If I did anything else, it would just ruin the fun. Spooky! Nice one, Thanatos. You're weird. Have fun talking to Oswin. Before you go, how's my voice? Sufficiently, ominously robotic? Close enough. It's very unnecessary. I'll work on it. If I find out anything, I'll come find you. I'm just gonna turn into JFK doing this voice. Nothing bad ever happens to the Hammond Manor. I've forgotten just how cold the house could be so early in the morning. Many times in my childhood, I'd gotten up early and wandered around. Having the house to yourself would do that. No other kids around, no parents. Though Benson and Oswin were close enough. Benson seemingly always watching. Oswin occasionally hovering off to the side as if I was some strange creature. Ew, children, go away. What are these monstrous creatures? I'm your child. Well, I don't know that, but I'm a child. Even the hidden passages, I knew them all. Though, knowing them all was not at all that impressive when there were only 3. The one here, the one in the basement, and the one just outside the kitchen. They all linked up anyway. Yes, Ferdy, I felt that way in like the turn of this past year. I was like, I'm so far behind on password, and I had to kick it into high gear. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Day 23, asterisk. Spooky. They all linked up anyway. With the exception of this strange door that looked like what Thanatos had also existed in the library, but on different systems. Thankfully, the code to this door was easy enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the what is it? That's the password on my luggage. Oswin's that's just Oswin's password for everything. Now, I didn't really understand the full weight of why. Part of me didn't care enough to ask. Mom was Oswin's sister, after all. Or at least they were close enough that they consider each other family. Why her name was the password to this door in particular was a mystery to me. Not that it really mattered anyway. The whole concept of family was a strange one for me. With Dad working long hours, and Mom doing the same, I was used to just spending time alone. Keep the place manageable enough without being messy, get my homework done, simple stuff. He's pulling a Nico or Yuichi on us. More often than not, I'd found myself dropped off in this very house for prolonged periods of time. Semi-homeschooled by more than often not, I'd find myself dropped off in this very house for prolonged periods of time, semi-homeschooled by the only other boy here, though chores were handled mostly by Benson. As I stepped into the lab, I could see Oswin there already looking to the door. The place had been closed off, but a quick entry of the door code into the panel beside it released the lock. Here comes the scene! What do you mean, depraved Puma? What do you mean? I can hear it already. Oh, slice of life mode. Good morning. I grumbled something back and wandered closer, dropping myself off into the open chair beside him. This is very loud music. Is it too loud? Normally the music isn't this loud. Wait, not happy to see me? It's not that. Ah, well then. He always seemed so energetic when we were alone. It was almost like dealing with a tired Orlando or maybe a slightly caffeinated Dave. Still, he hurried over to the door to the lab and locked it again, ensuring we had privacy. Did you want to see a magic trick? I've been working on a new one. Good morning, Slow Panda. People are telling me this is the scene, and I have no clue what that means. I am terrified based on this context so far. Yeah, he is more KSK in that sense. But I mean in terms of like being left alone to do most of the keeping things at the house relatively normal. You know what I mean. Not a one-to-one, but... magic trick? Really? Now? I thought you liked magic tricks. I do, but... of all the things you could be working on... The wind had been taken out of his sails, and he sat down heavily in his chair, swiveling as he thought. Drinks his coffee. So, no magic then? Fine. The Wizard of Oz, god damn it! Oswin! God damn it! Oswin! Sorry. If things were a little different, I'd be interested. But... I had a dream last night, and I don't know what to think about it. Different to your other dreams? If Thanatos was here, he'd correct me and say it was a memory. Ah, I see. So, they're getting worse. Or maybe not worse, but more vivid. I can't say I'm a fan of that. What do you require of me? To listen. All right. I breathed in deep through my nose as I gathered my thoughts. Looking around the lab, I tried to focus on anywhere other than the pair of eyes staring at me. I don't know if what we've been doing, what I mean is, you can just say it. Thanatos isn't here. I'm having second thoughts. I'm wondering if maybe he lied. Well, I can't tell you for a fact that he wasn't invented to specifically double-cross you, or even really think of half the things he does. Right, he was just meant to be a friend. Aw, he's a friend! He will bite you, though. Bite-sized friend. But now you have questioned it. Other things are a bit muddied, right? One way to say it, sure. From one of his drawers, he pulled out a small piece of wrapped candy and handed it over to me. After I'd taken it, he grabbed one for himself and started unwrapping it idly. You know, Roswell, things are bad enough that if you wanted things to stop, you could still stop them. I know, but what would that cost be? Not one I'm willing to pay, mind you. He regarded me over his glasses with the piece of candy still half unwrapped in his fingers, mine untouched. It's unlike you to turn down a piece of candy. I unwrapped it the rest of the way and put it in my mouth. Something fruity and sugary. The faintest hint of tartness that made my mouth pucker as I rolled it to rest against my cheek. That's better. Oz, just... you being here makes things so much more complicated. If you weren't, I could have just, gotten it done. Lived with the guilt of a couple weeks, and that'd be that. I'd be dead, but everyone else would be alive. It's not as if me being here has really stopped your attempts, however. Even attempting Benson's murder, no doubt. Wait, excuse me? Oh my god, did you try to shoot your own butler? He looked to the door, as if making sure it was still closed before sliding closer to me, bringing his voice low. I know your determination to save your friends is that strong, but you'd willingly shoot Benson? You'd even consider making him a target? Does it matter? Dave stopped it, and it's not as if he's one of my friends. Oh no, it's not as if he's one of my friends. He grabbed me hard by the ear. Hard enough I squealed in pain, but I was just as quickly pulled into his chest in some awkward hug. Now you listen here, boy. Benson is family. You do well to respect your elders. Why the pause? To be frank, I don't think he'd let you kill him. Unless he... Well, OBDS Studio connected and reconnected. Did anything bad happen? Stream, tell me it's all okay. Please. Okay. I had to click something. You tried dealing with these nightmares of seeing everyone... You tried dealing with these nightmares of seeing everyone dead, Oz. How could you deal with the prospect that countless times that you don't even remember you're responsible for the deaths of those you care about? Watch your tone. The worst part, I still don't know if I'm doing it right. If I screw up, everyone dies. I'm stuck between watching everyone die or choosing to save any number of them I could do by awful things. Okay, that's good. He relaxed and I pulled away, dropping back into my chair. It's not fair! But what choice do I have? You don't need me to tell you that you've always had a choice, Roswell. You just wish the choice was better. Or no, that's me. I wish it. I just wish the choice was better. So do I, Roswell. So do I. I should... maybe go get some coffee. Or breakfast or something. Ah, before you go. Are you still fine with coming with me into the woods? Me? Sure, it makes sense. I don't know why you'd want me to double check that. Because it's polite. Also, I want to just make sure that you're actually wanting to come. I have something important for you. Then give it to me now. Not while Thanatos is around. He's always going to be around. He's going to be around long after I die. You die. Long after everyone dies. Well, remember to tell me anything relevant anyway. Not this. This is something I'd rather you not hear from him. In any loop of this universe. You're being weird, but fine. If Thanatos is going to be weird, I guess you get a pass too. Why, thank you, my dearest nephew. Though, on the topic of Thanatos, where is he now? In my room, checking his memory for me. He seemed to contemplate on that, almost wanting to say something, but he held back. If he wasn't going to be prying then, I wasn't going to offer anything. Did you want anything from the kitchen, Oz? I could hear him mumble under his breath. Something about me calling him uncle, but I ignored it and waited for his reworked answer. No, thank you. I shall see you later, Roswell. I made my way back through the passage and closed it behind me once I emerged from the basement. It was quiet, though I could hear movement. Had the others started to arise already? Had something happened? Each step I made heading upstairs towards the foyer was made carefully just in case. Peering around the corner of where I'd emerged to check who was about, my breath caught in my chest briefly and I pulled my head back. It is different, Dave. It is special Dave. It was Dave, pacing back and forth in thought. Ladies and gentlemen, it is him. I just watched him for a bit, wondering about without having noticed me yet. At some point, I figured I'd waited long enough and made myself known. Dave? Roswell? He quickly looked around for someone, or something, and sighed in relief upon not seeing whatever it was he was seeing. For a moment, I thought... well... Thought what? Thanatos, after yesterday? Yeah, that. Right. I could see the expression he was giving me. I could see the expression he was giving me somewhere between suspicious and concerned. But honestly, I had my own worries. Had he figured it out? Had Thanatos let something slip? With how often he'd be partnering up with Dave, I just had to trust he had things under control. Oh, Dave's sprites mirror David's sprites. Oh my god, that is a tongue twister. Just like Dad. Are you feeling okay? Yeah, I'm feeling, well, better than I did yesterday, that's for sure. Do you know why? Shy of bed rest. it'd likely be something Oswin drugged me up with. Said it'd take me some time to kick in, but it should get me going. Wait, when did that happen? It seemed Thanatos was telling the truth. Dave was fine, but must have been out of it until this morning. Well, when? I guess it had been some time after you found me in the rec room. After he knocked me out, you mean? After he knocked us both out. But you woke up sometime after that. Yeah, to Oswin injecting me with something. He really needs to stop doing that. Given how much better I'm feeling by comparison, I think I'd be willing to give him a pass on that. So no Thanatos, and no idea why he did what he did? Now Thanatos? Was Dave expecting to see Thanatos? Had nothing at all happened to him between what happened back then and now? Maybe keeping him unconscious was the way to go after all. At the very least, he couldn't do anything to put himself in danger. Roswell? Sorry, maybe. That's the short answer, anyway. And the long answer? Do you remember 23rd day of experiment? Do you remember much about what happened when you came into the rec room yesterday? I showed up, you had a medal, and said... It was a trap, yeah. I wandered over to the stairs and sat down, cradling my chin to try and puzzle out how Thanatos had thought guiding me there in a drug-addled haze was a good idea. Admittedly, I don't remember how I got into the rec room, just that I was in kind of a daze. I remember running into Thanatos somewhere just outside my room, though, and he must have led me there. And the medal? That part I remember. He handed it over to me shortly after I collapsed into the beanbag. Alright. And the medal is... where now? In my room. But when he handed it over, I remember him saying something like, Now we just have to wait, I can't even say the rest of the sentence. In my room. But when he handed it over, I remember him saying something like, Now we just have to wait for the hyena to show up. And a few minutes later, you did. You knew it was a trap just from that? You tell me, Dave. I don't think throwing you a party upon your arrival was the plan. Yeah. You're probably right. The Dirk the Red Panda stream experience. Not again. Another pause? I didn't even see the message. Worth it, though. Oh, boy. I'm glad y'all can stick through my poor streaming quality sometimes. Not saying that in terms of my performing. You know what I mean. The stream bandwidth, whatever it's called. I don't know technology. Yeah, you're probably right. Internally, I breathed a sigh of relief. If there was one constant I could plan around, it was how readily Dave was willing to let things go. Infuriating for any number of people for sure, but really convenient when the poor guy kept putting himself in harm's way. I didn't think the trap was going to be a literal sound trap, though. What does he get out of knocking us both out? And why was I out until this morning, but you were woken up? I couldn't tell you. Maybe because I was being medicated was why I woke up. Not that I was awake for long before sleeping again. It was something I'd have to bring up with Thanatos again. There wasn't a good reason why Dave would be unconscious for that much longer than I did, but unless he'd done something different to him. But given we were both in the room when the sound trap went off, I have no idea. Remind me to take a page out of Tyson's book when I see him again. Thanatos needs to stop being a jerk and knocking people out. Catch him off guard near an open window and you might be able to enjoy a little bit of defenestration. Defenestration? Jeez, Roswell, what the hell are you doing? Let me look at the encyclopedia or the dictionary for that one. Gotta pull out my middle school dictionary. Defenestration? Jeez, Roswell. This isn't a time for fancy words. Deforest. Defective. Defoliate. Defensive. Deference. No defenestration. Wait, defendant, defensive. No defenestration. I am disappointed in the colored Oxford English Dictionary from the year... Doesn't even have a year. Weird. Oh, it's the 3rd edition. Curse you, Sarah Hawker, and your 3rd edition English dictionary! Now I have to go to the internet and know the answer. Defenestration. What the hell? The action of throwing someone out the window. Come on! You really had to say it like that? Enjoy fancy throwing somebody out the window. Worth it. To yeet someone out the window. Thank you for the basic definition. I think that's a better way to explain it. We're just gonna have to add a little part in the dictionary that just says to yeet out the window. I'd probably be fine with throwing him out the window. If only once. I can feel my eyebrows go up, the faintest of smiles crossing my face. You know what that word means? You know what that word means? Before coffee, even? I didn't know. Yeah? He didn't seem convinced, almost confused somehow as to how he knew the word. Maybe he just got lucky. Maybe he forgotten he knew, but he ended up just shrugging it off. Last time Dave complained that I was too early for long words. Oh, we're smart. So what happens now? I did have something I wanted to talk to you about, actually. Are you really fine with going into woods later with Oswin? For the Dominic thing, I mean? Before I could reply, he shook his head, continuing within the brief pause he'd allowed himself to breathe. I know it makes sense for you to go. I know that it's all relative as far as it being fine, too. What's your plan for if something goes wrong? Being lucky isn't going to cut it. Where's this coming from all of a sudden? You're not normally so alert. Or, it's important, Roswell. If you must know, yeah. I was counting on my luck. I don't think anything else we can do really compares to what an organized crime family has as far as resources go. I could see him go to speak up, but I shook my head, cutting him off as much in the same way as he did to me. You'll have Benson and the others. You can make a plan for the worst, but there's no sense in worrying too much about it. Just have some faith, Dave. Faith. What does that word mean? He repeated the word and shook his head, awkwardly standing there still rather than joining me and sitting on the stairs. Hey, can I ask a favor? Sure. I feel that with everything going on, it might be a good idea to keep tabs on Orlando. All right. What about you, though? Me? What about me? What are you planning on doing between now and when I leave? Well, I suppose I should get a contingency plan down. Talk to Sal, and Tyson too while I think about it. How come? They'll likely be able to help Benson the most. Dean is the backup in case something goes wrong out in the woods. Rescue mission stuff. Alright. But, can we get coffee? I haven't had any yet, and this is a lot to sit on while we wait for the others. We made coffee and sat in the dining room. Dave lost in his own head and only barely sipping down while I gulped down the sugary brew. I needed to be alert and brain working at full capacity. This was a problem that had to have a sudden solution after all. But less that, and more nervous about what Thanatos might find in his memories, was what I'd seen, the glimpses of it, real? Did I need to stop Dave from entering the forest at all costs? I left when the others all started to file in under the guise of needing to mentally prepare myself for later on. Though Dave's look told me he was suspicious. Something felt off about what was happening. Wrong. Maybe different. It was worth consulting with Thanatos about it and maybe check in with Osman about it just to see what he thought. Thanatos? Hold on, Thanatos has to put his memory banks away. There we go. He turned to me, mid-bounce as he was jumping up and down on the bed. What? What are you doing? Taking a break from searching for my memories. How'd breakfast go? Fine. How did checking your memories go? Also fine. There were a few moments of silence before he resumed jumping, as if that were going to answer my question. So? So what? I checked it. What do you want to know? Are you going to be running into any... or are we going to be running into any problems? You know? Saving Dave? Oh, I don't know. Probably. What do you mean? That was the point of me asking you to run that search. Hey, don't get snippy with me. You just weren't specific enough. Now, if you were to ask nicely... Thanatos, if Dave dies because you neglected to tell me what's about to happen... He won't. Calm down. We just need to do... something. That something being... Here's the plan. You're going to go into the woods with dearest uncle, right? I groaned, palming my face and giving him a lazy nod. Hey, Emerald. Doing well. Enjoying my password. MIT. Perfect. How about we don't do that and we make someone else go instead? And how exactly is that stopping Dave from dying? Beats me. But if you're around, then that's an extra set of eyes. Besides, the worst case scenario is that something happens and we get a do-over. The point is, we shouldn't need a do-over if you've already seen all this happen before. Okay, but how is you going to the woods keeping you safe? It's not. That's why I volunteered. I'm going to die anyway. There's no stopping that from happening, mind you. So I should wear the risk. But then what about me? Why don't I get a say in this? You do. But you were the one that carried that message through time and space to me about me wanting my friends alive. That I asked you to save them. We are saving them. Sorta. Why, it's becoming increasingly hard to believe that when the way to keep most of them alive means murdering one or more of them. I collapsed down on the bed. Thanatos still merrily bouncing on the spot on the bed that he'd chosen. So? So the plan is to what? Knock me out? Well, if that's going to work, then sure. All we'll take is me swiping an injector from the lab and jabbing you when no one's looking. Well, we're going to need a hold off. Just a little bit. I've already spoken to Dave and thrown him at Orlando to keep him out of the way. Mining? I also said that I was going to talk to Sal and Tyson about contingencies for when I head into the woods. I should at least do that before you go doing anything so my story stays straight. Fine. I imagine Oswin is going to be in the lab for a little bit longer anyway. So I'll need to wait until he's sleeping. Alright. That sounds like a plan. Thanks, Thanatos. You're welcome. I'll run another search on Dave just in case. But if all goes well, I imagine Osman is just going to take Dean in with him. You said he knows how to navigate the woods, right? As well as anyone could, I guess. At no point in my memory he's been revealed to be in the God. As well as anyone could, I guess. At no point in my memory he's been revealed to be on the ground level, so... You know. I could have told you that. You never know. It could have been a long con. No offense to Dean, but he's not exactly organized crime material. Yeah, well, if anything goes wrong to his body... Well, if anything goes wrong to this body, he's still the best candidate to fix me. So we need him. I didn't mean that he was dumb, just... homely. Anyway, I'll be back later. I'm going to talk to Sal. When I got to the conservatory again, I realized just how careless I'd been. The passage still being wide open from when I'd taken it before. Thankfully, it didn't seem to be a problem for much longer. Ah, good morning, Roswell. Oswin said he'd spoken to you already. Yeah, He shook his head, standing aside from the passage as if assuming I was going to be taking it down. He was right, though, and I stepped forward and started to cross the threshold into the dark. Before you go, I had something I wish to say. Oh? It may not register to you, or perhaps you do not care, but I see Oswin as my son. You told me this before. And it wants saying again. I implore you, do not go hurting my boy. I won't. His hand quickly found my shoulder, and I was spun around to face him. See it that you don't. This is not a threat, though I am not above threatening somebody that poses a danger to my family. I gave him a funny look, eyes flickering to the door before dropping my voice down to a whisper. Am I included on that list of family? He straightened, eyes also going to the door before settling back on mine as he went to the bookshelf. Including you, Roswell. Now hurry along. I suspect you have places to be. I barely cleared the threshold of the passage before he closed it shut behind me. Just as well, given it was probably for the best people didn't start asking who was going where. Though Benson or Osman was a convenient excuse, with people too eager for Dominic's return, chances are the run of the house was all mine. As I passed the laboratory, I found the door open and stuck my head inside. No Osman from what I could see, though the first step inside was a mistake. Got you. Hey, put me down! He grabbed me suddenly and lifted me off the ground, though it didn't last from how I immediately tried to pry myself away. Even without me doing anything, the strain of his face told me he couldn't keep it up. You've grown a fair bit. You're calling me heavy. And not. I'm also going to add on that you're really unfit for someone that has a gym in this house. Mind your manners, boy. I am. You were the one that decided to lift me off the ground without any warning. Once upon a time, you loved having me pick you up. We'd go walk around in the hedge maze, have a look at the greenhouse, sit by the pool. Why are you choosing to reminisce now? He looked away slowly, taking longer than he should have to reply. I am taking what chance I can. Meaning? We both know you're on borrowed time. On top of that, what's to happen later is very dangerous for us both. Tell me about it. Thanatos was already suggesting that I don't go in with you. I'd be alright with that, if I had my way. Really? Even knowing if it's the right choice? Sometimes it's not about the right choice. Sometimes there is no right choice. Why do I get the feeling you're not being obtuse for fun? Roswell, surely you can't be as blind to what's going around you as you're pretending to be. I'm not blind. I'm not deaf either. Then prove it. What is that I'm referring to? It could be many things, but if I had to guess... I stepped away from him to sit down by his desk. Talking to Sal and Tyson could wait, and Oswin came to join me. You're talking about my motives. In a sense. You're talking about how my decision is to do nothing and watch all my friends die, or actively kill one of them to save the rest. Horrible deed to commit the most good. And is it worth it? You tell me. He huffed through his nose, eyes narrowing behind those glasses of his. You can see what effect my sins had on me, boy. What I had to give up as punishment. You look miserable. What else? But you're still fighting. For something or someone. I don't know. For you, Roswell. Me? What? I could feel my body tense up and begin to shake. I didn't understand. I know that expression. You're worth fighting for, if only for a little bit longer. That... Wait, what? Because you're my uncle? Because it is the right thing to do, and nothing more. Because I'm dying. Not entirely. Then what? I'm doomed to die? I'm living as best as I can with what time there is left, but that doesn't mean you should be fighting for me. There's no hope at the end of this road. So what? You're telling me to give up? Yes. Kind of. Maybe? I don't know. But why are you fighting for me? What do you get out of it? Do I need a reason to want to fight for my nephew? You're so caught up in saving Dave that who's saving you? I can't be. It's why I'm the best one to pick when it comes to collateral damage or sacrifices, being put in harm's way. It's just the most logical option. And you're really fine with that? I'm resolved with it, yes. That doesn't answer the question. What am I meant to say? That I'm terrified that one day I'll go to sleep and not wake up? That that day is going to be sometime within the next week when everyone's in danger? Roswell, that's not what I meant. Then what do you mean? He got up, wandered over to a shelf and looked around for something. Then he suddenly stopped, his hand going to his pocket before returning empty-handed. I want you to try and remember something. Okay. What? Do you remember when Thanatos woke up? What he did? Yeah, he seemed to be a mess, and I felt bad that my little rat friend was upset. Do you remember what you did right after? Yeah. I didn't fight it. letting my uncle hug me carefully and gently, unlike how he'd grabbed me the previous 2 times already. And do you remember what you asked of me one day out of the blue? Do you remember how scared you were when you asked? I asked if you could help me save my friends. Thanatos had finally told me everything. And what did I say? That you'd help. That it wasn't going to be easy. And that there were going to be hard decisions. But that would help. And I'd help you because you mean a great deal to me. Roswell, I helped because at the end of the day, I didn't want to sit by and watch people die again. Even after? The medical trial was a mistake by a naive man who threw caution to the wind to do good. I'm not about to let you do the same thing if I can. I could hear him sniffle, though he didn't move his hands away to wipe away any tears where he was crying. I do not wish you die a pointless death. I do not wish to watch your final precious moments in my life be wasted away in despair from watching those you care about die horrible deaths. Even knowing that I was doomed? That if I saved them, I wouldn't be around to enjoy it? Did you ask yourself that question when you made your decision? Was it made in hopes that you'd be able to spend time with them? No. Just that they'd be able to keep living. So, if you say that you want to come into the woods with me because you'll feel it keep your friends safe, I will not fight you. I may not want it, but the decision is yours to make. You know something, Oswin? What, Roswell? For a great wizard, you sure do make a great magician's assistant. Thank you, dearest nephew. I should probably go talk to Sal or Tyson or something. Try to make sure there's a plan in case things go wrong out there. Alright, but... before you go, may I make a selfish request? Depends on the request. Could you, call me? You know what, it's not important. Never mind. I wandered closer to the door as he seemed to make himself busy suddenly, stopping as I went to leave. Thanks for the hug, Uncle. He snapped up quickly to look at me, eyes hinting that he was holding back from saying something else, or hoping that I could hear whatever thoughts were going through his head. Unfortunately for him, as much as I liked the occult, I couldn't read minds. I just had to stay focused on getting done what I needed to before it was too late. I closed the entry into the basement behind me, hearing movement down here. My eyes wandered over to the gym, and I nodded, hopeful that I'd find at least one of the 2 I was looking for in here. Hello? Anyone here? The moment I called out, the smell had hit me. Not a sweat or anything like that, but the dust from the lack of use now airborne from being disturbed. Roswell. How are you? Sal looked over to Tyson, who was busy lifting weights. He didn't even seem to register that it arrived, though he could wait. I'm doing okay. Just okay, though. Alright. Hey, I don't mean to bother you, but can we talk? Me? Yeah. It's kind of important. I can come by later if I'm interrupting, but, we both briefly look over to Tyson, who seemed to be in his own world as he lifted the same weight over and over in a slow, repeated movement. You'll be fine for a while. Let's step off to the side. Given I should keep an eye out in case something goes wrong. We did as he suggested, gestured I could start talking, though I realized that I hadn't really prepared for anything specific. I wanted to talk about Later today, if that's alright. About you heading off with Dominic? Yeah. Alright. What about it? Well, if I head into the woods and the worst happens, I want to make sure that there's a plan to, you know, keep you all safe. Have you all been thinking about what to do? Admittedly, not really. Though it would have been nice. We're still hoping for the best. Any plan we make assuming failure isn't great for morale at the moment. But what if something does go wrong? What if it's bad enough that you have to act or die? I understand, but perhaps don't go assuming things that'll be that bad. Though realistically, things aren't great at the moment. So, I want to know that if I go out there, when I go out there, we have a plan in case I don't make it back. Have you spoken to anyone else about this? I mentioned it to Dave. He's hopefully keeping Orlando distracted, but, you know. He nodded knowingly, looking over to Tyson briefly. If you do not return, know that we'll be likely not wanting to move in case you're just late. But in doing that, you risk Memphis arriving instead. It is a difficult situation to be put in. Hi! Oh. Hello. You two doing anything I'm trying to do a robotic thing. You two doing anything interesting? No? Great. I need to borrow Oswell for a bit. Me? Why? I don't want to explain it here. Just follow. Is there a reason? Joy, I'm sure there is, Sal. Oh. Well, alright. You're not going to ask what that reason is? I'm inclined to believe he'll skirt around telling the truth. Flat out deny me anyway. I would ask to follow, but leaving Tyson unsupervised seems like a poor choice. Ah, right. Well, I'll follow you in when I come back. I need to talk to Tyson anyway, so hopefully he's less busy. Yeah, can we go now? He led the way out of the gym towards the stairs, and then once we were safely out of view of the gym, he scurried up onto my shoulder. Emerging from the side corridor, I checked to see if the coast was clear. From what I could see, Haas and Dean were standing just outside the back door, looking out to the woods. Oh, change of perspective. Just want to make sure. Yeah, we just talk here. Wait a minute. Maybe it is still Roswell's perspective. I'm gonna pretend it's Roswell for now unless it changes. Thanatos pointed me in the direction of one of the side rooms and I headed there quickly, just in case someone spotted in my shoulder. Alright, what's wrong? What happened? He jumped down off my shoulder onto the back of one of the sofas and began to pace along its length. I took the moment to close the door quietly so we had a little more freedom to talk. We have a problem. A big problem. How big a problem are we talking? The biggest. That doesn't narrow it down. I finished checking my memory. It's bad. So Dave still dies? On the last loop. It was my fault. And before you go complaining, I already apologized. How did it happen? From what I remember, we went with my plan to knock you out. Which I'll remind you was against what I wanted. Way to rub salt on the wound. But anyway, it's bad. Meat hook? Thankfully not. I shudder at the memory of it. One of the first and with it more frequent nightmares that I had been given by the rat. Jesus Christ, the meat hook. Oh my lord. That is horrible. Alright, well. You still remember him dying that way, don't you? Yeah, in that shack out in the middle of nowhere. But don't remember anything about how you got out of the way? Or out that way? Beats me. I can only assume that Orlando and I went looking for Dave in the woods for some reason. Which is sorta what happens here. You just said there was no hook. There isn't. Was it? You know what I mean. So what have we got to work with? Oh no, Dave's the newest Dead by Daylight survivor. Stop. Oh, I don't know. I wasn't out there. Tell me what you did see then. Dave shows up dead, carried by Tyson out of the woods. I flicked him quietly on the nose and he reeled, fumbling and almost falling backwards onto the cushions behind him. Start at the beginning, at the part where you knocked me out. Do that again and we're going to have issues. Naturally, I took the invitation. Hi! Thanatos, you just admitted that you screwed up. How do we fix it? Brit. Jerk. Fine, so in lieu of you not being able to go out, Oswin picks someone else. Makes sense, right? And that part that doesn't make sense is why he chooses Dave, right? Got it in one. I mean, there isn't really any other way that would have played out, right? Explain. Dave would be the most likely to volunteer to keep his friends safe. It's the whole reason he finds himself in danger more times than not. Unfortunately, this one was all on Oswin. Dean was ready to volunteer, but he chose Dave for some dumb reason. What was the reason? Some dumb reason. I don't know, never bothered to ask. In the aftermath, everyone was a mess. Oswin pulled you away pretty quick, but things went downhill fast. I was almost scared to ask, drawing back from the sofa a little, but Thanatos knew to continue. Naturally, Memphis shows up, bombs in tow, doesn't even bother to use them. What does he do? Dominic and Jack show up, kill Tyson without him fighting back, still holding on to Dave. Orlando tries to get in the way of his dad and gets shot. Memphis torches the place with Hoss, Oswin, Benson, myself, and you still inside. And Sal? Don't know. I go offline before I can get tabs on him. Last I saw, he was outside. I wandered around to the sofa and collapsed onto it, running my hands over my face. So I need to be the one that goes in. Well, that's not exactly the takeaway I would have suggested, but our options are preventing Dave from going in, which removes that outcome from the board entirely. Or we engineer a set of circumstances that make him better armed for going out there to begin with. Without knowing how things played out, we'd be guessing. And iterative testing takes, well, a really long time. I know as a data scientist, iterations take a while. You use some sort of machine learning thing where it's test this thing out and predict, and it's runs 1,000 iterations, 10,000, and you're like, okay, it's randomly guessing, but it makes things predictable. I'll do it if you really want me to, though. No, the goal should be the less iterations, the better. It'll be easier on you. Easier on me in case it goes wrong. Just, I don't know the solution. What my input? I'm not promising I'll follow it, but sure. You going in is highly likely to end in your death. I'm aware. I don't think you do, Master. I do. If it's not my body expiring, it'll be killing at the hands of people much more violent, stronger, and healthy than I am. Wiles will not ensure my survival at any point. But if you're dead, how can you save Dave? I can't save Dave after I'm dead anyway. There's every chance that the moment I die, a couple of days pass and a tragic accident I have no way of stopping happens to him instead. So it's all meaningless. There's no answer to this problem you asked me to solve after all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I can only affect their here and now. I can make sure the best use of my life to give someone else a better one, even if for a little bit longer. It just doesn't seem fair. Life isn't fair. It never is. So I just have to watch you die. We get to the point that Dave survives, and that's it. We make that the prime timeline and repeat an infinitum. There's no other option, is there? I thought you liked to gamble. Within reason. Then get to Osmond to conduct his own experiment. Make him mix up a cure and I'll remember the notes for him. Use me to save your life rather than Dave's. You've heard it from him yourself. There isn't a cure. But there might be. I went to reply, but instead found my mouth tightening in a grimace and eyes dropping away. I know there was a possibility, or was once a possibility. Not anymore. Not in order for this path to even exist. I know pointing out that sample was a bad idea. It was just that you pointed it out. The closer I am to death, the more vivid my resonations are. The less I need to rely on you to just have them happen. I didn't expect you to inject yourself with Cryptococcus nephorans, the Cryptococcus nephormans sample. I did expect you to inject yourself with the Cryptococcus nephormans sample. But it did work. Treating me for meningitis symptoms is easy enough for Oz as well. Though, body-wide fungal infection, alongside whatever degenerative genetic anomaly is happening to me. Well, one of those was by choice. If you hadn't done that, then Dave would have likely died already. There's never an option to not go through with it if he didn't want to keep repeating those mistakes. I disagree, but there's no point in stopping it now. So the plan: keep Dave alive. And to do that, you tell me, Master. I'm going to set things up that Dave under no circumstances goes into the woods. Then later, I'll go in with Oz. And I'm just meant to watch. Yes, I need you to watch so that if things go bad after I'm in the woods, you can tell me the next time we hit this point. And if I just never tell you about Dave's death, then you're trapped repeating this over and over without end. This isn't fair. I just told you life isn't fair. What choice do we have? There's another option. The option should be to, like, let Roswell into the forest and then let Dave pretty much be the sole guardian of Thanatos after this. Like, that would be my plan. Because if you're trying to keep Dave alive, and of course the iteration will end and eventually repeat if it happens, then at least then if the iteration repeats, at least Thanatos could know, hey, going to Dave works or going to Dave doesn't work afterwards. Like, obviously he's been interacting with him, but, like, to be, like, the main guardian to know and talk about, like, with, like he does with Roswell, like, that should be moved over to Dave in this case so we can, yeah, figure things out from there and, like, figure out how Dave shouldn't die, like, maybe a few days later or whatever. So there's another option. What if we just leave? Let them die. Let them all die. But we just pivot into stopping anyone else from getting access. You mean like Memphis? Think about it. He's programmed in. What happens if he gets access to the vault? I don't know. Imagine what could happen in a megalomaniacal, gut-toting beast got the ability to see his own mistakes. What damage he could do. He came over and sat in my lap, squirming his way into a comfortable position and in turn making me rest back in a half slouch. That's what we risk by doing all this. We save Dave, and then what? You die. We somehow make the timeline prime, but what good does it do if it ends with Memphis in control? Has that happened yet? No, not yet. But it's been close a few times. What's been the deciding factor? That he gets fed up and destroys the place, and with it, me. But at the cost of everyone else too, no doubt. You don't need me to confirm that for you. Just know that we're in so much danger and it's not funny. I never said it was hilarious. Just tell me that I made the right choice. I don't think I'm quite built for right or wrong calculations. I just do as I'm told. Just like a predictive algorithm. Thanatos is just a living algorithm, confirmed. And you told me to save your friends. So, if I never asked, then I'd be stuck watching this vacation play out over and over, watching you all die and it all ending in that fire. Great. I picked him up and sat him back on my shoulder, going to the door to the room. You said that the last loop Dave died, right? If things are playing out the same, what do I tell Sal as far as a plan? Tell him a lie. Say that I told you it works out fine if they take the road, but they need to wait until the house starts burning before crossing the gap. And he'll believe that? He'll believe you. Whether or not he acts on it is another thing. But he won't question if you're lying. He'll question if I'm lying, but once you assure him that I'm not, we're good to go. And Tyson? That's where things get tricky. Just be honest. Honest about what you want. Mention Dave, and the simpleton will listen. Alright, time to go then. I'll drop you off in the basement, and you'll go and do something. Maybe go spy on Dave and Orlando upstairs. Maybe go check in with Benson or Oswin. I'll figure it out. We headed back over, noticing that Dean and Haas hadn't moved from the back door. They hadn't noticed us, and once safely downstairs again, we split off to do what we needed to do. Sal and Tyson looked up as I entered. It seemed as though they were done working out. Or at the very least, Tyson had stopped. Sorry about that. Everything's... I won't say fine, but... you know. So... what did he want? Just... telling me what's going to happen tonight with Dominic. Any good news? I get the impression that he doesn't typically give news. Good news, Tyson. Well, great. Sal, so what I was saying before about a plan? Right, a plan. Do you have one in mind? I do. Kind of. Let's hear it. So in the worst case scenario, you all need to escape by going to the main road. Fine. But what about Orlando? Or the others? It'll work. Dantas says it will. I don't know. Though, he did say to wait until the house started to burn. Don't try it before then. So what, we let the house catch fire then bail? Presumably, we're watching from the road for the smoke. I don't think he meant that we run for it after the house is already on fire with us inside. But this is if I don't come back, remember? Hopefully I do, know the safe way out, and we can all just leave instead. I understand. Though convincing certain others will stay put will be difficult. You mean Dave? I wasn't going to say so bluntly, but yes. On that, Tyson, can I talk to you? About? Just, I think we should talk. We're talking right now. No, I mean, something more personal. Okay. He means privately, Tyson. I'll, It's alright, Sal. We could step out, maybe just have a quick talk in the basement. It won't be long. With some coaxing from Sal, Tyson followed behind me into the basement, and I continued leading him across to the vault. I was nervous, pacing as I tried to figure out how to approach this. Thanatos had said to be honest, so I had to go for it. So, this is about Dave. What about him? You're not about to start something because we're dating, are you? No, nothing like that. It's something more serious. Serious how? So, we both love Dave and want what's best for him. Hell, we all want what's best for Dave. Your point. When I go into the woods, there's every chance he's going to either want to follow or get in the way somehow. He's too selfish in wanting to keep everyone safe. Well, yeah. What'd you expect? I need a favor. I need you to stop Dave from going into the woods by any means necessary. Sure. Easy enough. His tone and lack of attention implied that he was brushing me off, and I clenched my jaw in frustration. No, if you're going to follow through on this, you need to do everything you can to stop him. Distract him. Keep him preoccupied with something. Lock him in his room if you need to. If you don't, he'll die. The moment I said the magic words, I knew I had his attention properly. If Dave leaves the house today, you won't get him back. Bullshit. Thanatos told me that's what happens. That's why it has to be me that goes out. I have a shot of surviving. And you're saying Dave doesn't? I'm saying it's proven that if he goes out, he dies. Otherwise, Thanatos wouldn't have come tell me just before you tell you that it's going to happen. I don't believe you. What will it take for you to believe me? This is for Dave! We don't like each other. So how do I know this isn't some sort of trick? Wouldn't be the first time. That was... before. Before what? Before I understood how much you mean to Dave. What do you mean? You were horrible to us as kids. For as little as I was around, I still remember. I remember the mean things you did, and have heard about the other stuff you did after I left. I heard about what you were like to Orlando, too. He stood there quietly, eyes occasionally flicking to the floor rather than staying locked with mine. And somehow, despite all that, he's willing to defend you. Do you know what his argument against me was when I brought him up with him? About inviting you? What? That you changed. He didn't want to acknowledge that you did bad things. He didn't want to think about how that would have affected myself or Orlando. That you are important enough to bring along. I have changed. Because of him. Rich is great, and it was bad of me to assume that after so long he didn't have a positive influence on you. But that's not just going to make what you did back then magically, okay? He went to speak, but I cut him first, pointing at him decisively with a finger. But you know what will? Keeping Dave alive. Keeping him safe. When I found out you were so entrenched in his life, I worried that you were going to break him apart after I was gone. I wouldn't. Then prove it. Do this for me, and then it will be okay. That's what I want as an apology. Fine. Dave comes first. And I'm sorry for every wrong assumption I made about you. Yeah, well, I'm sorry too. For the shit I did as a kid. I nodded, We stood there awkwardly in silence for a bit before Tyson gestured towards the vault door. So, it's pretty messed up, huh? What, the vault? Yeah. Thing has been messing with Dave his whole vacation, and now we don't know if we're going to get even... Thing has been messing with Dave his whole vacation, and now we don't know if we're even getting home. You will. You all will. So long as there's just... precautions taken. Dave's been too busy trying to save us. It's time someone stepped in and actively tried to save him, rather than... Well... rather than what? Just... trying to keep him out of the way. I don't think I get it. But yeah, I'm for actively doing something. Just actually try and get back, yeah? Dave's gonna be upset if you don't even try. Don't worry, I want to come back. It seemed to satisfy Tyson as he left to continue working out for a bit. The plan was to go drag Dave away from Orlando to keep him occupied, which is exactly what we needed. Hopefully, it was enough. But that left me there, standing in front of the vault with my thoughts. What was I going to do? What would the plan, or would the plan actually work if I left with Oswin later? The more I thought about it, I ran through the possible scenarios in my head. Oswin would leave me, get caught up at the... Oswin would leave, get caught up at the other end as collateral. I'd maybe return, and then if I did, everyone would get out. If I didn't, and Memphis torched the place, at least everyone would attempt the main road. They wouldn't be caught up with it not potentially working with the lie Thanatos passed on that it would. I returned to my room and waited out for the rest of the day. Door slightly cracked so I could hear the activity in the house. Tyson came and collected Dave at some point and dragged him off somewhere. Orlando paced around the floor nervous. Not that I could blame him. Thanatos was scarce, keeping himself busy with something, or held up somewhere. I couldn't tell. But the hours started to tick by with nothing happening, my own thoughts half drowning my perception of what was around me. Hey. I looked up and there he was, without Tyson. Hey, what's up? Nothing much, just taking a break from Tyson. He's been a bit, overbearing. A little. He does this sometimes when he's worried about something. Or hiding something. Or both. Any idea what? I have some ideas, but if I'm being honest, it's kind of nice. Makes me feel normal that everyone else is stressing out. Oh boy, Panic Squad! That's not something to be happy about, Dave. Or, well, I guess you're not happy, just I guess you're not happy. Just relieved, probably. Yeah, it's closer to that. It was bad enough seeing Orlando stressed out. Passed him on the way here, and he was... struggling. Did he say anything? Tried to check in, but he just sort of made a sound. What kind of sound? Like a distressed gay sound. It was like our... What was it? It was like a gay sigh. You know, an Orlando sound. That doesn't really narrow it down. You know, like that pitiful whine that I made sometimes. But more, you know, like a gay dragon. I was floored, choosing instead to stare with a worried smile. Anyway, how are you doing? Fine. For the most part, anyway. Considering what's going to happen. So, about that. I wanted to ask you something. What is it? I want to come too. No. But I have a good reason. What possible reason could you have that would justify putting yourself in danger? Besides, the deal was for just one person to be collateral. He won't consider letting 2 people come to report back? Just in case? There's no reason why he'd do that, Dave. Besides, there's no guarantee that he's even going to tell me where it is. So that's just it. We're back to waiting. Pretty much. Okay. I could tell by his tone that he was planning something, but something felt off somehow. Are you feeling okay? Like, everything going alright? Peachy. You don't sound fine. I promise. I'm fine. Aside from the stress of today, and looking forward to getting home making me a bit all over the place. I'm holding up better than Orlando, at least. Okay. Not that I believed him for a moment, but it was better than trying to probe him. Not that I believed him for a moment, but it was better than trying to probe information out of someone based on a hunch alone. Well, I'll let you get back to waiting. If anything happens, I'll, be around, I guess? He left, leaving the door open as he rounded the corner. Almost immediately, I heard Tyson yelling at him and then Dave barking back. Apparently, Tyson had taken my request to heart and was making a big deal about Dave disappearing on him. If it wasn't for his own good, I might have felt bad. When everything had settled down, I headed downstairs to see how things were going. I could see the front door open with Haas keeping watch. Out the back there was still Dean. Huh? As I opened the back door, Dean turned to face me. Oh, hey Roswell. Nothing's happened yet. Just waiting still. Just waiting still. That's alright. He'll show up. I hope so. The waiting is starting to get to us. Haas has taken watch by the front door just in case. Standing around together didn't really get us anywhere. Nothing to talk about? That's part of it. Well, I'm happy to watch for a bit if you wanted to get a snack or something. Unless someone else has relieved you already. Honestly, that'd be great. My tummy's been rumbling for a while, so just a quick snack would be great. You don't mind watching, do you? Unless you're planning on ditching me for hours, I think I can wait for you to make a sandwich or something without it being a problem. Great. I won't be long, promise. Just something to refuel and I'll be good to go. Oh, but if anything happens, just yell. Then he hurried along inside as I turned to face the woods. No Dominic yet, but he was out there somewhere. I looked over my shoulder at the house, thinking about Dave, thinking about Oswin, thinking about everything that I'd done and tried to prevent happening, only for us to end up here. Thanatos' words from earlier echoing in my head. As my eyes drifted into the forest, I thought about it. A gamble. Everything hinged on it being a gamble that I would win regardless. If I lost, there would be contingencies, so really, it wasn't all that much of a risk on my end. At least not when you consider infinite permutations. But as I found myself stepping off the steps onto the grass and taking one look behind me at the mansion, there was still a moment of hesitation as if to say what the heck am I saying? But as I found myself stepping off the steps onto the grass and taking one look behind me at the mansion, there was still a moment of hesitation, as if I should stay or if I should risk it. But I had to risk it. The longer I left it, the more chances I'd give Dave to try and weasel in on coming along later. And I already knew he was planning something. The sun had begun to set, so things were only going to get darker the longer I was out here. No Thanatos, no map or flashlight. It was just me and my luck. I must have moved quick, as I didn't hear anyone calling for me back at the house. Maybe they hadn't realized I'd slipped away, though I was surprised by Dean's lack of concern with me not where he left me. Maybe something had happened. It wasn't too late to go back, though I'd have a hard time explaining my rationale for why I left in the first place. Then don't. It's not that hard. The voice sent chills up my spine, though I couldn't tell they were just in my head. I've got to keep on moving. I just have to be lucky and run into Dominic. Solve all this long before it can become a problem. Then everyone stays safe. That's flawed logic, Roswell. I know it's flawed, but what choice do I have? It's spooky Thanatos! You always had a choice. There's always a choice. But you're struggling to comprehend the weight of your actions and the sins clinging to your back. My eyes narrowed, and I rubbed my eyes to see if I was hallucinating. Nothing. It really was nothing. Bracing myself against a tree, I breathed out, squinting in the dark to see if there was anything I could go off of. My eyes weren't the best. My ears could hear water somewhere nearby, but the only scent I could get was loamy soil and mushrooms. Dominic? A cautious whisper in hopes he'd find me instead of the other way around, but to no avail. After more walking, I came across a familiar sight, wandering over to an overturned log and sitting down. You know, this is where you made a big choice that influenced how things turned out. I know. There you are again, spooky Thanatos. You put yourself closer to death, or more trauma to try and save your friends. I think Dave's method was better, if curated by Thanatos. Perhaps. Though, do you regret it? Despite hallucinating a god of death, it was the correct call. Who says you're hallucinating? Me, giving you look like some sort of mashup between a video game character Orlando told me about and some abstraction depicted by Dave. I clutched my head. Was I losing it? Was this a sign I was right on the cusp of actually dying? The sounds around me were off somehow. Quieter. Turning to look around, I saw a large figure moving around the trees heading towards me. Dominic! Ah! Hey, Dominic. He raised his eyebrows, eyes flicking over to the direction the house was in. Well, this was unexpected. Don't worry about it. I just figured I'd come out instead of waiting for you to come back to the house. The deal was for Oswin, not his kid. Nephew. No kidding. So I can be collateral enough, I guess. I just wanted to make sure no one else was going to go in my stead. Don't think the boss is going to like being shortchanged for who he's after. Plus, who am I showing the route off the mountain to? Show me. I'll just, use my psychic powers or something. Pigs have those. I'm hoping I do. You never know. I'm heading to the mansion. I don't need the boss on my case for screwing this up. He turned to leave and I jumped up, grabbing at the fur on his wrist despite not finding a purchase on it to stop him properly. Please, just take me! No one else! Give me one good reason. I had to think fast. There had to be something I could offer that made things easier to him. He was all about easy jobs. Hostage. Go on. No doubt Memphis is going to try and play this exchange as some sort of, I don't know, insurance that he gets what he wants, right? But what's stopping Osmond from refusing to cooperate once we leave? I could see the gears turning in his head, thinking it over. So you take me, then go get the others to the exit, then trade me for Osmond when it's over. I think the boss would like that. Any chance to hold something over someone else he usually takes. His expression went darker comparatively to a normal gruff facade, reaching back and flashing what he was armed. Any funny business, though, and this is getting used. Completely understandable. For good measure, I flashed him a thumbs up and a smile, though the moment he turned and started to guide me away from the house, I inwardly groaned. Surely I wasn't becoming more like Dave, was I? We continued on in the dark, silent. After all, we didn't have anything more to say to one another. It was just a business transaction. So, Dirk, what made you make of sus Undertale Rat Reaper? Very sus indeed. I think it's just Thanatos in disguise. That is my theory. And that Thanatos, the mouse that we've created, is somehow kind of like an offshoot offspring of the real God of Death. Something weird and spooky and magical. There he is again, the spooky God of Death! In the corner of my eye, I could see my hallucination flick in and out of existence between the trees, watching me carefully every time I felt my chest tighten. Was it a heart attack? Tiredness? How exactly was I going to end up going? Part of me hoped it was peacefully in my sleep, but now just thinking about it scared me. Would I just go to sleep one night, blissfully unaware to just never wake up? Would I make plans for the day after and then that was it? I was roused from my thoughts with my hallucination trying to weigh me down, and I slowed my pace to follow the direction he was pointing. Somewhere in the opposite direction from where we headed, towards the darkness. Roswell, where are you? My heart sank, and Dom wandered back the few steps to stand behind me. One of his hands found my shoulder and dug in painfully tight. Roswell, come back! No, Dave, stop! What are you playing at? Nothing, I swear! What kind of dumbass comes this far out in the woods at this time of night? Someone with a death wish, obviously. That's what you were hoping for? That we're going to do you a favor and kill you? I was hoping we could make a good on our deal from earlier. Whatever he's doing is just idiotic. Just ignore him. Let's just keep going. And risk leading him and who knows who else to right where you want to go? No chance, not taking that risk. So, what are you planning on doing? He pulled out his gun and spun me to face towards where I'd originally turned to look for Dave. The metal of his gun at the back of my head, hand still tight on my shoulder. March. We started walking. Every now and again, Dave would call out and we could tell that he was getting closer. Or maybe we were just getting closer to him. Each step we took was quiet, Dom must have been listening out for anyone else out here. Roswell! Dave, no! Dave, stop! Dave! He turned to face us as we stepped into view, and despite me being held at gunpoint, he seemed calmer than I expected him to be. Let him go! Why would I go ahead and do that? Beat it, kid. You're not supposed to be out here. You were meant to come back to the house. Instead, you kidnapped Roswell. Dave, go back to the house. Everything's going to be fine, I promise. I don't believe you. Everything has been off today. I don't know what it is, but ever since I woke up this morning, ever since, as if on cue he started to space out, thinking about something. Dave, I'm not kidding around. This guy has a gun pointed to the back of my head, and I'd really like it if you just went back to the house and just stayed safe. Please? I can't do that. I can't say I have a backup, or a plan, or really any way of knowing which way to the house is. But in some poor attempt at seeming bigger than he actually was, he puffed out his chest and breathed in deep. I'm not scared of you, or Memphis. I felt it shift from the back of my head, the tip of Dom's gun. I knew exactly where it was going, and I had to stop it. Dave had to live, otherwise everything would have been for nothing. Dave, run! But he didn't move, even with the gun trained on him. Last chance, kid. But still, he didn't move. I had no idea why Dave was being stubborn, but he was. It was going to get him killed. Not without Roswell. Digging in deep, I growl and yell out, yanking myself free of Dom's grip and going for the gun. When I say run, you... Are you doing okay? Huh? What do you mean? You kinda just trailed off there in your... whatever we're calling this. Sorry, I guess things are still just piecing together in my head. So, does that mean that's the end? No, there's still more. Let's see. I remember now. Well, alright. Just, if we need to stop, let me know, alright? No. This part's important. I promise. What is happening? Tyson POV. Oh, I thought it was Tyson POV. Now we're just at Dave. As I opened my eyes, I found myself tucked into my bed. A light slap on my face confirmed I was awake properly now, and I carefully sat up to get an idea of what had happened. Not that there was anything to go off of. I was in bed. Everything was left as I left it. Someone must have brought me here after finding me passed out in the rec room. Not again! Gosh dang it! Imagine if we had to do every single repeat of day 23. Like just 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and I'm here for 7 hours. That would just make me cry. One iteration down, infinitely more to go. Password! You'll never stop playing. I checked my phone to see what the time was, and I'd somehow slept the day away, and it was now morning again. With a groan, I rolled out of the bed and wondered if there was a way to stop myself from sleeping so much. But as I sat up, the world around me shifted, memories starting to flood back to me while my eyes were even open. Clutching my head, and I wondered if it was something Thanatos was doing to me, I was just falling sick, or I was just falling sick or something. Roswell was... And did I... What happened? In a daze, I put on clothes. Something in the back of my mind telling me that I wasn't meant to put on the orange hoodie. Or maybe because I knew I wasn't going to anyway. Dave and Roswell stop dying challenge. Impossible. gone sexual? Oof. On autopilot, I made my way downstairs. It was quiet, hinting that I was only one up. I could think of the memory of the fire only vaguely in favor of what I was thinking of. Roswell was in the woods. With Dominic? Roswell? I sharply turned my head towards the corridor, heading towards the basement, and found myself hurrying over. Dave! Roswell. I didn't need to look for Thanatos. I knew he wouldn't be there already somehow. I stepped back so he wasn't standing just at the top of the stairs, and he followed me out to the foyer properly. You're looking better than you did yesterday. Did the thing Osman give you help? Something told me that was the right thing to say. Something vague about Roswell having been drugged with something while I was still unconscious. I had no way of knowing it, but Roswell's expression told me that I was right. How did you... Just give me a second to figure something out. I sat down on the stairs and tried to figure out what was wrong. What was happening to me? This was all familiar. Some sort of strange deja vu experience, but way more vivid. I could remember this conversation. I could remember what else happened today. Dominic is coming today, right? Yes? Okay, and where's Thanatos? Beats me. My eyes narrowed on him slightly, my grasp on how this conversation was meant to go slipping. Defenestration. He needs to be thrown out the window. Roswell went to say something, but looked stunned instead, awkwardly standing there instead of sitting down. Hey, can I ask you a favor for today? Depends on the favor. Orlando's probably going to be a mess today. You know, with everything going on. If it's no trouble, would you be able to keep tabs on him for me? I was gonna, ask me to do it, right? Dave, what's going on? Something's not right about this. You tell me. I don't know. Did something happen? Again, you tell me. I don't know. I just remember things. I got up suddenly, thinking it over. Make it 2 favors. Get the coffee going, please. Get the coffee going, please. I just need to check in on something really quick. I was gone before he got his retort out, heading downstairs 2 at a time before the secret passage between the secret passage and going to the vault, I started to go towards one before settling on the other. The passage opened for me fine enough, something telling me that this was the right way to go. Or maybe it was just that I was being wary of Thanatos for the time being. I'd been down this way before, so I just had to find the right door. As I opened the door to the lab, I slumped forward in the doorway, looking around in the dim light. Back already? As he looked up from what he was doing, what little smile he had faded immediately, replaced with something else. Dave, what are you doing here? I closed the door behind me, checking that it was closed all the way before stumbling over. My eyes were trained on his pocket, a slight frown on my face. We need to talk. About? Roswell. Pardon? I dropped myself into the chair beside him and tried to gather my thoughts. He's gained self-awareness! He must be terminated! Dave has gone too sentient! So, today, you were going into the woods with Roswell, right? That was the plan. It is. Why? It is a terrible idea. Excuse me, where is this coming from? He'll die, Oswin. Based on what exactly? Vault vision? With a huff, he breathed through his nose and turned to his computer, tapping away at the keyboard before shaking his head. Nothing has been recorded for today, or expunged from the record. Though I suppose that's moot when the circumstances where it would have been coded in might not even exist in this iteration. I can prove it. Go on, then. That thing in your pocket. You were going to give it to Roswell when you went into the woods. It's a photo of him and his parents. He pulled the envelope from his pocket and placed it carefully on the desk, saying nothing. I love you. That's what it says on the back. The message you want to pass on to Roswell. How? I don't know. I just do. Thanatos. I shrugged, shaking my head. I woke up like this morning. Something felt off. I could tell Roswell was going to be watching me in the foyer. I have vague memories about being injured and seeing that photo. I have memories of watching Roswell get shot in the middle of the woods. I just do. Source? I just do. Well, Dave, where do we go from here? I want the truth. I want the truth from you, in person, as to what's going on. What do you think is going on? You and Roswell are related. He's your nephew? It means he's been here before, in other words. Oh no. Sorry, I just got news that one of my local pizza places I like eating at is closing. F's in chat for my pizza place. This is tragic. Absolutely a shame. It means he's been here before, in other words. I just do it. Without a word, he got up, wandered over to the laboratory door, and made sure it was closed before locking it from the inside. Then, just as quietly, he wandered over to the side room and looked around, making sure it was empty. What are you doing? Making sure a certain rat isn't around. He continued his search, and only once he was satisfied, he sat back down. No Thanatos? Correct. No Thanatos. So, before I say anything more, I need you to swear to me what I tell you does not leave this room. Act upon it so you wish, but in no way can this information be relayed in any form outside of this room. And if I don't want to promise that, then get out. Those are my terms. Alright, I promise. Swear it on your father, may he rest in peace. I swear. The tension faded immediately and he breathed out, rubbing the bridge of his nose. You're wrong, you know. About? I'm not Roswell's uncle. I'm waiting for it. He's gonna be his dad, isn't it? And that's the truth? I swear it upon the life of the son that doesn't know the truth. It is true! But that... Huh? You're saying he had... It's an incest child? No! What? I just remembered something Haas said when you made yourself known the first time. Ah, yes, that. But Roswell really doesn't know? To be frank, if he's come to that conclusion on his own, he's yet to raise it. His mother and I decided that it was best to skirt around the issue. But why? If I remember if that picture is correct then, how could he not know? Roswell was born the day my brother died, and the medical trial went awry. As you can imagine, the tragedy of what happened left me in no state to raise a child. So the lie we told Roswell is that his father was no longer around. But you are, though. The same man that desired a family, that wanted to be a better father than the one he had, was no longer in a position to raise him. Technically, she's adopted? It's still incest to me! Oh my god, Florencia is a surrogate and Osmo is planning on raising a kid. Why is this getting worse the more we think about it? This is hurting me. I'm actually gonna be in physical pain from this. But that was in the past, though. And in the time it took for me to recover, he was already properly settled in calling another man his father. I had no right to take that away from him. That's so sad, though. You make sacrifices for the ones you love, Dave. You more than anyone else should know that. He deflated in his chair, looking me over. What other wisdom have you gleaned from this memory of yours? If Roswell had been before, why lie about it? Come now, Dave. You know the answer to that? I know, Trinix, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I was thinking if they were biological, it would be like, yes, the incest would make sense for genetic defects. But since I bit on my tongue. But since Florencia is adopted, that technically wouldn't be the case. It just makes it very awkward on technicalities. Even if it isn't genetically bad, it is hella awkward. Yeah. But I don't want to believe it. Then what would you believe? That this was all just happening by chance? No. But it's still something that's a lot to take in before coffee. That makes two of us. So if Roswell has been here before, he's Thanos' master, right? Well, if it's certainly not myself or Benson. Alright. Any idea where he is now? What are you planning on doing? I just want to tell him what I remember. See what he thinks. If this is the first time I've remembered or, like, you know. Please be careful what you share to him. If he relays what I told you to Roswell, what relationship I have with my son, as fragile as it is, could be ruined forever. Don't worry, I swore on it, remember? I trust you, Dave. Just be careful. If I had to guess, check Roswell's room. I trust you, Dave. Just be careful. If I had to guess, check Roswell's room. Though try not to be too long. I'll be back. We still need to figure out what the plan for later is. I just need to get my facts straight. I left the lab and entered the basement again. Roswell had a lot to explain, but without understanding what was happening to myself first, there wouldn't have been much point. I eased the door open to Roswell's room. It seemed everyone else was preoccupied with one thing or another that I was able to make the journey there unnoticed. Some were having breakfast, others were milling about just outside the back door. I was too distracted to really take notice of specifically who was there, though. Thanos was just sitting on Roswell's bed, unmoving. No sign of Roswell either. Carefully, I wandered over and reached out for him, stopping just short before I heard him make a sound similar to a groan. Ugh, this is boring. Lazily, he turned to look at me and we locked eyes. Maybe he was expecting Roswell. Maybe he was just dazed in only a way a robot could. What are you doing here? Why'd your voice change? This is how I normally sound. So I have a couple questions. Sorry, I'm busy. You'll have to come back later. I know Roswell is your master. He did a double take, looking past me at the closed door to the bedroom. He's not my master. He is. Oswin confirmed it, but there's more important things I want to ask so we cannot play around with trying to trick me into wondering if Oswin is lying. Now, why would I do that? Why would you change how you sounded once you realized that it was me in the room with you? I told you this is how I normally sound. I rolled my eyes, sitting down on Roswell's bed. So, question 1. Did you force me to have a vision last night? No. Alright, question 2. Do you know what's supposed to happen today? Yes. Dominic will come later and collect Oswin, and... That's what I want to know. Who goes? I have... conflicting memories. Conflicting how? Actually, better question. What do you mean by memories? This happened before? Yeah, it's strange. Like today's already happened before. Vague memories about how things were meant to go. But now, it's different. How different? Well, I came downstairs and knew Roswell was spying on me. I knew he was going to ask me to hang out with Orlando today, but instead I asked him to do first. Interesting. So, we have a problem. I have vague memories about me going into the woods tonight. It's all kind of jumbled up, but I remember parts. What parts? I remember the walk out into the woods with Oswin. I remember maybe leaving. Anything useful? I also remember a situation where I ran into Roswell and Dominic in the woods. Roswell was held at gunpoint and is... shot? Yeah. Thanatos started to pace, as if he was thinking about something. Give me 5 minutes. Iteration time! We got more sample data! Now our iterations could be more accurate. This is a very complex algorithm, because it's hard to be like, how am I going to live? Well, there are so many factors to determine how you're going to live. You kind of have to neural network a bunch of factors to get that output of, yes, we'll live, yes, this person will live, and it's like, you know, a lot fewer outcomes of they will die, they will live, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I just noticed a little icon in there for the subscriber. Interesting. Give me 5 minutes. He sat down and became very still, almost like he was when I first entered the room. Then after what seemed to be 5 minutes, he stood back up. I don't understand. What exactly don't you understand? Your memory checks out. 2 iterations ago, you went out with Oswin into the woods and returned dead, carried in Tyson's arms. The iteration after that, I relayed that information to Roswell, and for some dumb reason, he went out instead. And then got killed. Pretty much. So if me going out results in my death, and Roswell going out results in his, then what option do we have? Honestly, we could have another go at sending Roswell out. His problem was that he went out after you started acting funny, thinking you'd follow. Which you did. Did I say why? Nope. Though if I had to guess, it'd be your thing where you want to save everyone. They're my friends. Yeah, Mr. Hero Complex. I heard you. So, what happens now? Beats me. Tell me something and be honest. Roswell, this whole time, has been behind everything going on, right? To try and keep you alive, yes? But why? Why me specifically? That's not something I should answer. I stood up and went to the door, leaving Thanatos on the bed. Oi! Where are you going? You stay here. I need to go talk to Roswell. I locked... I locked Thanatos in Roswell's room, or at the very least closed the door on him to make escape harder. Then, following Orlando's voice towards the rec room, I looked in to see if Roswell was in fact keeping him busy. Roswell was sitting quietly next to Orlando while he talked hurriedly about something. It was clear that this conversation was one-sided, even while the video game was idling in front of him. Hey. The tone in my voice reminded me that I'd had yet to have coffee, and I was still surprised that they hadn't made a move to get breakfast or were still downstairs. Not that it mattered. Dave, what's going on? Nothing. Just checking in. Everything alright? Everything's fine. Doesn't seem fine with how you're staring at Roswell like that. I haven't had coffee yet. I'll get some in a minute. Oh, sure. Hey, Orlando, can I ask a favor? Of course, what's up? Can you step outside of the room for a sec? I need to have a talk with Roswell. Privately. What about? Nothing serious, I promise. Just important enough that I need to talk to him alone. Dave, you understand what's happening, right? What's happening today? And with everyone being on edge and everything? I know. This is related to that. Then I can stay. If it's important, then why does it have to be a secret from the group? It only needs to be a secret until I ask Roswell for some things. After our talk, then we could tell the group. Promise? With a nod, he stood up slowly, looking between me and Roswell and heading to the door. Sorry, I just had to get something off to somebody. With a nod, he stood up slowly, looking between me and Roswell and heading to the door. Alright, well, don't take too long. And with that, he closed the door behind him, leaving Roswell and I alone. Roswell. Dave? I stopped towards him, confused, scared, and angry all at the same time. When I got close enough, I dropped my knees in front of him as he sat on the beanbag and grabbed him roughly by the shirt. I wanted to punch him. I wanted to hug him. I didn't know exactly where he landed, but he broke the silence first by putting a hand on me. Are you okay? It was a question I wasn't sure I had the answer to, but I shook my head all the same. How could you? How could I what? It was you. This whole time it was you, putting our friends in danger. And for what? It was a dry gasp of air instead of a chuckle. I need a glass of water or something, as I could feel my head starting to pound. To keep me alive? To stop me from dying? He let his hand fall away and stayed quiet. Say something, asshole! I snarled, rearing a fist back as if to throw a punch. At once, I felt Tyson's influence rubbing off on me. But in the same instance, Roswell didn't even flinch, just looking at me with sad, tired eyes. Go on, Dave. If it'll make it better, then. Instead, I just grabbed him again, throwing my arms around him in a hug. Did you ever think to tell me what was happening? Did you ever think that maybe I would have wanted a choice? You never listened. Thanatos just... He shook his head, looking me in the eye. Let's start at the beginning, I guess. Maybe. Sit down, because this is going to sound crazy. At this point, I'd believe anything. So, to start with, back when we were kids, I got sick and moved away. That's only half true. I just spent a lot more time here. A lot more time. You're just going to offer that for free? Should I let you tell me what should I let you tell me what you've already figured out first? No, I think we're beyond that. And during that time, Oz made Thanatos for me as a friend. Not like I could see anyone else while sick and on this mountain. But when Thanatos was turned on the first time, he felt strange. Strange how? That he was going through the motions, introducing himself, but holding something back. Only later did he fill me in on everything, or at least most of what I assumed he's lived through. As in every version of this vacation, and then some. Countless nights he'd tell me the different ways this all played out. Sometimes the vacation didn't happen, sometimes it did. Even when it did, there were variations. Okay, time to flag a message. Get away. Come on. Come on, YouTube. Give me the ability. Okay. And we're hiding. There we go. I need mods. And then some. Countless nights he'd tell me different ways that all this played out. Sometimes the vacation didn't happen. Sometimes it did. Even when it did, there were variations. Like what we'd do on what day, or even who showed up. He told me of every possible permutation of things he tried to fulfill one simple promise that I asked him of way back at the start of this life. To save my friends. By killing them, though? You can't expect me to believe for a second that this is okay. That explaining this to everyone else is going to be met with, "Oh, okay, Roswell, I understand why you tried to kill us. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't know what to do. Maybe not listen to the rat that's trying to get you Maybe not listen to the rat that's trying to get you to kill your friends? But if I didn't, everyone would have died. That's the one constant that he says always comes to pass. But killing people, Roswell, our friends, people we love, and watching everyone die tragic deaths is better? Watching you die, then Tyson, then Orlando, then Dean and Sal and Orlando? Watching everyone fall apart just because you died? I flinched, unsure of how to take it. I didn't realize just how bad things were if I was at the middle of this. So my choice was between doing nothing, given Thanatos had said that trying to tell you met with failure, or doing something to try and save at least some of the group. But you just... How do you even pick that? How do you live with yourself with that? I'm dying, remember? I could spend what days I have left guilt-ridden and then passing away knowing that at the very least, the person who was terminally ill died first. This is messed up. So the choice is yours now, Dave. You know, somehow, all of this, you know what my side is, and if you choose to condemn me for it, then you're completely right in doing so. That doesn't get us off the mountain. That doesn't save us from what's about to happen. For what it's worth, I didn't plan on Memphis's arrival. Or I didn't plan Memphis's arrival. But you still tried to kill people. I rested back in my beanbag, looking up at the ceiling. I have no idea what we're meant to do now. Do you have any ideas? I think we need to tell someone. Someone that would be able to process all of this and help. You can't be doing this alone anymore. I haven't been. Oz helped me set things up. And though he wasn't meant to be on this mountain. Well, so much for that. He He knows you know I'm guessing? I was going to talk to him again later in an attempt to figure out what to make of this mess, but here we are instead. What about Orlando? Or Dean? No offense to either of them, but I don't think this is really something they know how to handle. How about Benson? He knows, but hasn't ever liked Thanatos. Feels what he knows is too invasive to privacy and against the natural order. He's a robot. He's hardly natural as is. Tell him that. I've tried, but it doesn't work. I got up slowly and stood there for a few moments before offering a handout to Roswell to help him up too. Promise me that you're not going to kill anyone else. Between now and when I die? Ever. Technically, I haven't killed anyone, but I promise, no killing. That's not what I mean. I mean no more killing in any timeline. You go and tell Thanatos that it's over. But Dave, doing nothing means you die. And if you die, then find a way. Don't become a murderer. Don't let yourself think that's the only way out. Find a way to make me understand, even if it means hurting me, but no killing. I'll see what I can do. I wandered over to the door and opened it again, looking around for Orlando. Seems like Orlando has moved on. So, I'll go talk to Thanatos and figure something out. You're going to talk to Oz? Why do you call him that anyway? Instead of Oswin or, you know, Uncle? It's complicated. We split off with the plan that Roswell would pick up where he left off with Orlando after replaying what we talked about to Thanatos, which left me to figure out a plan with Oswin, or at the very least let him know how things went. I'm back. He looked up from his computer at me, gesturing me closer. And? I still don't know what to think or feel. He just admitted everything. Yes, well, you know Roswell. Stubborn and childish like his father. He's gonna talk to Thanatos about his plans for every timeline moving forward. I trust Roswell will make the right choice. But you do trust Thanatos? But do you trust Thanatos? He's the one that's going to be relaying all of this forward. I'm going to have to. Even if the chances of him actually doing it are slim, I've got to try. For what it's worth, I commend your faith. Moving on, I need to find out what the plan is for tonight. Obviously, me going is a bad idea. So is Roswell. I was thinking about that, actually. How much of the trip into the woods do you remember? Not enough to be useful. I remember the walk out there, but I don't know if it was from when Roswell went out or when I did. I can pick out some parts that I can rule one way or the other, but not enough. Nothing from when we reached the other end? What of being shown the exit? I don't know. Sorry, bits and pieces are still coming to me, but it's a lot to process. It can't be helped. Let's rule you out as an option. So we understand that I don't want any of my friends in danger, right? Of course, but someone would need to go if we want to leave Benson in reserve here to ensure some level of safety. So the choice should obviously be Dean, right? He's the best one suited to navigating the woods anyway. Is that what you want to believe? Is that what you want to believe to be the right choice? He's the only one of us with this sort of experience. So long as he's willing, he's got the best shot of coming back. Seems reasonable to me. Though, how is this going to play out with the rest of you while I'm gone? Well, presumably, this is going to end up with Dean coming back and telling us where the exit is. And then we leave. Very well. And you're fine with this? My original plan was, well, to have Roswell come with me. Then, should the worst happen, I'd know he was safe. Or dead. Yeah, being dead is a great compromise there. Given his sins and mine, I felt it appropriate that he either gets out or dies trying. After all, you know what he's been plotting now. I'm not looking forward to explaining this to everyone else. Then don't. I have to tell them something! One of their friends has been trying to kill them, and on vacation no less! Then tell them after you're safely off the mountain. Or do you want to incite an argument when your focus should be on leaving? Grumbling and clenching my jaw, I shook my head. Good. Now, is there anything I could do to assist further? Just tell me something. You were fine with Roswell doing all of this? From the very beginning, you know. And you were fine with it? Truthfully, no. I didn't want to see that boy repeating my mistakes, but given our relationship, you know what. I didn't want to see that boy repeating my mistakes, but given our relationship, you should know what it's like. I don't understand. Imagine if David were still alive. Would he not give you the world if he were able? I went to argue back, but found myself faltering. He was right, or at least my memory of Dad was the man who would give me anything I could have, need, or want if it was in his power to do so. Do not worry, Dave. There will be justice. There will be a time and place where all of this is put right, and you will have your vindication. And your vindication. And my life, which of all things considered, is a blessing. He picked up the envelope on his desk, sitting there from where we'd conversed before. I really should tell that boy I love him. Have you ever? Maybe not as many times as I should, or impressed upon how serious I was when I have. Then do it. You're right. Perhaps I should before I head into the woods. Absolutely before you head into the woods. You never know what's going to happen out there. He grunted and tore open the envelope, looking at the picture held within. I wonder how much of all this Flora knew when she was here the day of your arrival. You think she might have planned all of this? Planned? No. Had a hunch almost certainly. Though given how Roswell turned out, it's hard to really know how exactly where her mind was at. Spacey, but incredibly switched on when she hyper-focuses on something. Was she just visiting? Why was she here anyway? She'd been here for a few days, checking in on things. At first I assumed it was just a visit, but who knows what exactly it was all for. Maybe she was waiting for someone. Maybe she was just spending some time with her younger brother. Guess we'll never know. I won't. You still might, shouldn't you? I won't. You still might should you make it off the mountain. You know where to go in order to find her at least. Oswin sighed and put the photo away, adjusting his glasses. Is there anything more you want of me right now, Dave? Some magical way that's not knocking me out to give the space to process what's happening to me. Why do I remember things that don't happen? Or didn't happen? Why is everything so vivid? I'm surprised that you're having this reaction after using the vault so many times. If it was Thanatos' doing, then yeah, I'd get it. But it just feels different now. Well, I'd recommend getting something to eat and laying down. Take the moment to properly breathe and take stock of what you'd want to do. Or don't. Have a coffee and power through this day instead. I'll figure out when I get to the kitchen. Plus, there's still just so much else I want to think over. Maybe laying down is for the best? Oswin guided me out of the passage, and we parted ways at the bottom of the stairs leading up. As I walked across the foyer, I could still see flashes of what was happening in my memory, making me stumble. I just had to ground myself somehow. Ground myself in a way that I could then base everything else off of. As I walked into the kitchen, I went for the coffee machine and grabbed a mug, though didn't pour myself a cup. Was it better to be alert or on caffeine, or have something more mellow to gather my thoughts? I decided on coffee. I didn't want to have tea, otherwise I'd potentially find myself falling asleep. Besides, it felt as though my mind was processing slower than it should have been, so I needed the jump start. Then, it was back upstairs with my mug, drinking deep from it as I sat down on the side table and then lay down. My dame is name Holloway. My name is Dave Holloway. I am on vacation with my friends. We are currently in danger of Memphis, Jack, and Dominic, who are out in the woods. I sighed, sitting up to finish my coffee. It burned on the way down, but I didn't care. Tonight, I would have gone out into the woods with Oswin. He had a letter to give me, and a message to pass on to Roswell. Then after that, there was a shack. Memphis was there. Honestly, I think Dave is just caffeine-proof. He is just bulletproof. Shaking my head, I tried to gasp. Tonight I would have gone out into the woods with Oswin. He had a letter to give me, and a message to pass on to Roswell. Then after that, there was a shack. Memphis was there. Shaking my head, I tried to grasp at the memory, but it was fading fast. But also, tonight, Roswell would go off on his own. I'd notice and sneak away from Tyson to go find him, because he'd be acting strange. Because I could remember things I shouldn't. But it also means that someone needs to go in tonight. Dean, probably. With a sigh, I sank into the bed just as the door to my room opened. Dave, can we talk? Do I have to get up? I guess not. Is now a bad time? No, it's fine. Just gathering my thoughts. After your private chat with Roswell earlier, I can only imagine. He told you what we talked about already? I was hoping to hear it from you, actually. Well, sit down. It's going to be a bit. It is. Before we get into this, what if I told you I figured out who was behind it all? Behind every vault vision. Behind people being in danger. I'd be asking who, but we are going to... I'd be asking who and what we were going to do about it. What if I said it was someone in this house? Then all the more reason that we should be telling everyone. Orlando, what if it was me? The prospect made him come to a screeching halt, and he tried to come up with some rationale that didn't seem like an attack on me. Or that's what it looked like anyway. It's not, but that's kind of the problem, isn't it? You didn't seem to have any problems explaining away any wrongdoing I could have done. But if it was anyone else, well... This is what you wanted to talk to Roswell about? We both kinda have figured it out. He knew before me, so I had to just give him the peace of my mind. But who is it, though? Is it Dean? No, it's not Dean. Then... It doesn't matter. What matters is, what do you think I should do with the information? Well, if you and Roswell both know, then it would be simple. We find out we find out why they did it and figure out a way to use this to get off the mountain. They did it to keep me alive. The worst part about it all is that if I were to die, everyone else dies too. How? That sounds so tragic. I was going to say anime. Well, at least Haas would be happy. Dave, you shouldn't be saying that after explaining that everyone else dies if you do. How does everyone else die? Don't know specifics. Just really that it's tragic. Of course it is. Oh, and the other part? The reason we're criminally in danger and with your dad and stuff? Completely unrelated. Fate just has it out for us. Seriously? This is all just bad luck? Something like that, yeah? He groaned and sat down on the floor, shaking his head. So, what's the next step? That's why I'm laying down. My head hurts from thinking about it. You need to drink more water and eat something. Yes, I do. I've been doing this for almost 3 hours and I'm this close to just taking a snack break if we keep going. I will. Eventually. Dave, you know I love you, right? I sat up just enough to look at him, the comment having caught me off guard. Just whatever you want to tell me, I'll listen. I might not understand really even know what to say or do after you're done, but I'll listen. Thanks. It's okay. I sat up fully, stretching out. If only I had a stretch redeem on YouTube. So someone needs to go in with Osman tonight. I was thinking, if he's willing, we should send Dean in. All right. Just that? No questions, or... Did you want me to be asking? No offense to Dean, he's fine, but wasn't the plan to send Roswell? Yeah, so turns out doing that kills him. Same if I go instead. Was this something you saw in the vault? May as well have been. You haven't seen Dean, have you? Probably should have checked with him sooner rather than later. Downstairs, probably. While I go ask him, is there anything else we need to cover, or are we good? He shook his head and I stood up, seeing me make moves. Orlando got up as... Ooh, excuse me. Seeing me make moves, Orlando got up as well. But... Before I forget, I hugged him hard, solidly around the middle, or as far as my arms would let me reach around his bulk. Hang in there, Orlando. Everything's going to turn out okay. Okay, now I'm gonna take a snack break. Finally, I am starving. I forgot where my window was. Alright, I'll put up the BRB window. Should be about a 5 to 10 minute break. Maybe a tad more if necessary. Where is it? Where's my screens? BRB. Okay, I am gonna take another couple minutes if y'all don't mind. Maybe that another 5 to 10 minutes. And I see the comment in there, I will flag it. I am so frustrated that this has happened twice today. It's so funny, Twitch hardly or rarely has this problem with this type of content. Like, there are some ups and downs in how, like, YouTube has, like, more, you know, viewership, or at least it's easier to stream, or at least share with audiences, but at the same time, there tends to be more, like, bots or things like this, where it's, like, spam. Yeah. I know, it's so frustrating. Anyway, continue my snack time. 5 to 10 minutes still. Remember to get up, stretch, eat, whatever you need to do. We're almost hitting 3 hours, so y'all probably are hungry. Just about ready, folks. We are almost ready to continue. Just gonna finish off this tea, and then we'll get started. Just about ready to go. There we go. Timestamp will be added, and look at all those little guys fall in. Most of those guys come from my Twitch channel, so if you want to check me out there, go ahead. Alright, we're gonna get started in a few seconds. Getting my posture in check, making sure the mic is all nice and proper. And just under 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let us continue, shall we? We went downstairs together, though he split off towards the kitchen, insisting that I needed to eat something. Yes, like a certain someone here. I headed towards the backyard where I could see Dean and Haas waiting. Hey guys. How are you feeling, Dave? Good. Well, not great, but better than I thought I'd be. Even after yesterday? What? It took me a moment to register what happened yesterday. What he was talking about, and that I hadn't actually seen them both since. Oh, with Thanatos. Not to mention missing breakfast. Yeah, I had something to figure out. And that something is? Just something with today. That's all. I turned to face Dean, and when he noticed the difference in how I was standing, he did a double take. What? Dean, if you had to, would you go out into the woods? I'm sorry? Dave, what are you getting at? So the original plan was to send Roswell in with Oswin, and I totally skipped the rest of that line. So the original plan was to send in Roswell in with Oswin tonight, right? Turns out doing so gets him killed. So you're going to send Dean instead? Not if he isn't okay with it. You're sure he gets killed? Yeah, he goes in and dies. And if I go in, I apparently die. So, if no one goes, we're stuck with Memphis coming back. At least if someone else goes, we can avoid that much. And Dean, because I have experience? Basically, yeah. We could send anyone else, but you're the one that has probably the best odds to make it back. Well, you're right. I'm likely the one with the most experience. He was shifting uncomfortably on the spot, and I quickly shook my head. If you don't want to go, that's fine. We'll think of something, but I didn't want to just volunteer you without asking first. Well, it sounds like we don't have a choice, do we? Really, Dean? We don't have to send anyone if you're not comfortable. He looked between the two of us before settling his gaze on me. This is just how it needs to be, right? I gave him a wry smile and he shook his head. I'll do it. The more we think about whether it's the right call or not, the more time we waste, so it's fine. Dean, what if you run into someone out there? Like an ambush? What if any of the other options do? It's just a risk that someone's going to have to take. Regardless of how much we do or don't like it. I'm sorry, Dean. If it gets us home, then we'll call it even. If you still feel bad afterwards, then we can worry about it then. Alright, sure. Hey, so I brought snacks. It was a plate with sandwiches. Nothing fancy, but it didn't need to be. I snatched one up eagerly, followed soon by Dean, who did the same. Haas was a bit more reserved, and the four of us watched the woods for any sign of movement. Eventually, Haas decided to keep watch out at the front just in case. And then sometime later, Orlando decided to go join him to do the same. So, you sure you're feeling alright? Dean's question after a long stretch of silence almost made me jump. I guess. I'm still feeling a little out of it. I haven't been sleeping all that well. Not to mention what happened yesterday. That didn't help for sure, but in general, just a lot has been going on. You know how it is. We're so close to the end of this vacation, but it hasn't really felt like one. Once we're home, I'm planning on spending some well-earned time relaxing. An actual vacation. Got any ideas? The beach? Yeah, I want to go to the beach. The beach, huh? Yeah, maybe do some painting or sunbaking. Just listening to the waves would be nice. A fond smile found its way to my face, and I made myself comfortable against the railing surrounding the deck. Soon. It'll all happen soon. Ugh, what's going to happen soon? Tyson and Sal came out to join us next, lingering by the back door. Nothing, Ty. Just looking forward to getting home. That's all. How's the wait going? Nothing yet. Still just waiting. Haas and Orlando headed out the front a while ago just in case they came from that direction. Yeah, I'll go see how they're doing. Haven't seen Haas since breakfast. I flashed him a quick smile before he disappeared back inside, seemingly distracted by something. He was in a hurry to leave. I bet he just wants to check in with his friend. And here I thought we were slowly becoming friends. Tyson is just like that. Don't take it personally, Sal. Anyone seen Roswell? I was with him before I came out to check on you. I saw him talking to Benson earlier. He had Thanatos with him as well. I'll add on that Oswin has just been in his lab, so he's accounted for too. Good. No one's missing. Not much else happened. The three of us keeping watch and idly chatting to pass the time. I felt I'd be nervous, but instead, I was filled with a sense of calm. An odd sense of calm. When it started to get dark, I wondered if I should go find Oswin to see if anything had changed, or if there was anything else left unsaid from our previous talks. Not to mention Dean had done no preparation for his trek into the woods. I'd excused myself briefly to go retrieve my flashlight, and in the same time I was gone, Oswin had shown up to ask Dean if he was willing to join him. Then spent the rest of the day in the dining room playing a board game with Roswell and Orlando. I floated between groups, checking in with Haas and Tyson only once. They were fine, just like Dean and Sal were, though I wondered where Benson and Thanatos had ended up. No, Dominic! We're not going with you! Dominic stepped out from the trees, the sight familiar in a way that made me reach slowly for my side, a dull ache forming there for reasons I wasn't quite sure of. He made the trek up to where we were on the deck and stopped shy of the stairs. Sorry I'm late. It's all right. I'm just glad you came back. He nodded briefly with a nod, looking between Dean, Sal, and I. So we're heading into the woods? Dean held out his hand for my flashlight and I handed it over, knowing that he needed it much more than I did. Oswin coming too? I'm right here. Oswin stepped out from the back door. Behind him, I could see Roswell looking uncertain, but gave me a quick nod when he noticed that I'd seen him. So it'll be myself and Dean accompanying you tonight, Dominic. I trust this is fine. Suits me fine. So, we head in, you'll show me the route off the mountain, and then I'll come back? You got it. Then you've got some amount of time to scram before we pay a visit in person. Alright, let's get going. It's already starting to get dark, and it's only going to get darker. Stay close. Don't fall behind, 'cause I'm not stopping. Without waiting, he turned and started to trudge towards the trees. Wish us luck. If all goes well, this nightmare of yours ends tonight. See you all soon. Soon enough, they disappeared among the trees, leaving us behind. Well, there they go. I hope Dean will be back soon. I have faith that he'll do his best to return fast, but I feel soon might not be soon enough. I'll go fill in Haas and Tyson that they've already left. That happened pretty fast. And I guess I'll go tell Orlando. Leaving me with... what? Stuck with me, Dave. Oh, joy. Roswell passed Thanatos off to me, and with Sal, headed inside. So, what happens next? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Is this the first time we've come this far? Things have played out like this? Pretty much. And if this goes all right, how do we make sure it repeats? Will you just pretend you don't know? I'll have to run that by Master, but if that's what it takes. Well, my head still feels funny. You're sure you're not doing anything to mess with me? Nothing outside the usual, I guess. And what's the usual? Wouldn't you like to know, hyena boy? Yes, I would actually. Well, tough luck. Either way, you should just go to bed. And who's going to wait for Dean to get back? One of the others, obviously. He means me. Benson! Oh, hey Benson. You've been missing for most of the day. Yes, I've been. On standby, mostly. He shook his head, patting me gently on the shoulder. But from what I've heard, you've had a fairly eventful day. It's been a strange day. I still don't know how I really feel just yet. Then go rest, my boy. I shall await Dean's return, and should anything happen, you shall be fetched. You're not going to murder Thanatos while no one's watching, are you? Whatever would give you that idea, Dave? Just, you know what? It's probably fine. I'm going to go rest. Wait, you're not serious, are you? Rest well, Dave. The evil look on Benson's face. I don't think I was tired when I ended up reaching my room, but my head felt like it was full of fog. Under my breath, I kept mumbling things that I knew to be true, like my name, where I was, what had just happened. Rest is what I needed. Just a chance for my mind to settle, Or at least that's what I kept telling myself. But sleep wouldn't come so easy. There was Dean and Oswin to consider. I couldn't afford a full night's sleep if they were going to be back in only a matter of hours at most. Or at least Dean would be coming back. Part of me felt guilty about sending Oswin off with little fanfare. I thank him or apologize or anything. Knowing where he was going, not doing it felt weird. I just had to tell myself that he'd be fine, relatively speaking. There was no guarantee that he was going to be killed, so that shouldn't have been my base assumption. I closed my eyes and tried to relax. Just a nap. That's all I needed to settle down. A nap. What I didn't expect was for that nap to be so much more for me than just a little bit of sleep. What do you mean? What do you mean? Is it permanent sleep? Don't tell me it's permanent sleep. Bonk. There it is. That is our latest save. 3:21. That is the timestamp for what I assume is the end of the common roots. I don't think there'll be anything unique amongst any of them. Like, this seemed very not cutthroat, but very clean cut, very straightforward. End a demo. Alright. Let's skim through the not the Tyson. Let's skim through the Dean path. The Dean route, I mean. Let's load it up. Throw that bad boy, throw that sucker into the DVD bin. Whatever that thing is called, the little DVD slot. The little DVD slit. The CD player. Here we go. Will it all be the same? Place your bets, folks! Everything the same. Everything the same. Everything the same. Everything the same. Sorry if this gets pretty boring, but I have to double check. You know, just to be safe. I don't want to end it and be like, ah, shoot, I missed this line. Oh, one unique line. We have a singular unique line. What about him? Oh. What about him? I don't know. Alright, what is unique to Dean? What about him? What did he do now? No, nothing like that. It's something more serious. And now we skim again. Watch that be the only line. I swear to God if that's the only line. That's all for the iteration number 2 of day 23. Let's see how iteration 3 of day 23 goes. Will there be anything unique? Or will it be that one line? Yep, it has a second unique part. Here we go. Is that what you believe to be the right choice? I don't like the idea of sending my boyfriend out there at all, but he's the one with the most experience. If he's willing to go in, then it's an easy call, right? Seems reasonable to me. And we keep going. The life flashed before my eyes. Dean, what happened? Another unique part. He looked between the two of us before settling his gaze on me. I don't like the idea of leaving my honeybee here while I go off into the woods alone, especially with how dangerous things are. But I'll do it. You sure? Like Haas said, We can figure out something if you don't want to. I'm not sure if I want to or not, but I feel like I need to. Can't be having others put themselves at risk navigating in the dark. Or running into the mafia out there. That's a risk even I'm taking, so I don't think anyone is really safe from that risk. I'm sorry, Dean. Well, will that be the last part that is unique? Nope. We have another unique part. The beach. I want to go to the beach. Been a while since I've been, but sounds like a plan. We'll load up a car and just find a nice little place to rent out for a redo of this vacation. Yeah! A fond smile found its way to my face, and I made myself comfortable against the railing surrounding the deck. Is this gonna be it? I just don't want to overlook it. No, don't! Heck, I messed up. Well, we ended at 326. I'll go and re-skim through it all again just so I can properly save. Gotta reach over for the common part. Alright, I'm just gonna put 327 or 328 and just say chillin' and chatting. Okay, that will be technically it for the stream. Y'all get to watch me re-skim through this. Fun. But that was a surprisingly good update. I think I really like the time skip or the time loop concept because I was watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure talk about anime, and I ended up getting to an episode where it was supposed to be a time loop episode, or the stand itself was based in time loops. And so I had to like really grasp it and get into the mind of what the character was going through. And I was like, wow, that is hella trippy. They did a really good job with it. It just was great because you felt and saw the iterations and whatnot. And yeah, it also was based on memory. So I was like, sheesh, this is play with my brain. So I was like, yeah, that was great. And yeah, Password did a really good job with it. I don't think it had any real similarities to that. I just thought that was another instance that I saw of it in a different form of media. So I was like, yes, that is a good vibe. This was a good thing. This is a good example of the time loop concept. We'll just save that for now, and in case we mess up, we will have that. No! I messed up again. My brain! I'm going to hit the enter button so hard! Alright. Zero escape, interesting. If I get into playing more games, I will probably check that out. So I'm really bad at getting into games. I'm just like very, very tired. Or well, maybe I'm just not as inclined to just go out and try things as much. I think this was the last line. Think this was the last line. If so, I got it right. Congrats, I did it! That is it for the Le Password. Me doing the Le Password meme. Alright. So, yeah. I hope you guys had a good time. I really like the idea that now we're kind of in this loop of like, we're trialing and erroring, and it's not just, oh, we're on day 25 now, then day 26. We get to kind of bounce back into like day 23 and be like, how could we plan this better now? I'm finding this to be pretty fun. I wonder what the next updates are going to be. Are they going to be like Path B's version of it, Path C? Are they all gonna line up to this path? Like, or this specific repeat? I'm not sure. We'll have to see what Reimi Watanuki gives us, the creator and writer of The Password. But yeah, honestly, I think his writing and whatnot and the concept all is really improved with time, like a fine wine. Like, at first it was just like, oh, generic, don't get killed, horror thriller to me, but I still liked it. But I think the concept has really blossomed now. And it's been great. I think especially taking a little break from it and getting back to it really helped me appreciate it. That is my chilling and chatting. Anything else the chat would like to say? Share it with the class. Very nice read. Oh, thank you, Slow Panda. Yes, a lot of stuff. It was kind of long in some senses, but that was slightly longer than I expected, but I'm glad I got it over now because I was trying to get it done definitely before 6. I was kind of hoping around 5, but this is still good. Anywhere between 5 and 6. Family's doing stuff tonight. We're like, oh yeah, we want all the family to do this or whatever. And I'm like, sure. I didn't expect myself to, yeah, go late. So I was like, okay, I gotta boost this up an hour early, blah, blah, blah. It'll still be fun to play Password, but yeah. I know the Haruki route came out for Tennis Ace, or the start of it, and I will play it. I just need to figure out when in my schedule. If there aren't any other visual novel updates, maybe Wednesday or Friday. I might try and make it visual novel Fridays and then like City Skylines Wednesdays, or I don't know. Figuring that out, because I do love playing Truck Sim, and I love my City Skylines. And once I get my, my capture card, thanks to the wonderful Slow Panda for that generous gift. Honestly, I can't thank you enough for that. I put it on like my throne and was like, they just were like, yeah, sure, I'll check your throne. And I'm like, what? But yeah, I can play like Mario Kart and other Switch games once I get that. It still takes some time for the money to transfer over. Luckily, the Pokemon Violet pre-order money transferred over. Another thing Slow Panda got me. And as always, don't feel obligated for any gifts or things. Just if you ever want to and have the money, feel free to. Like, this is just, you know, it's all icing on the cake. Otherwise, I could, like, you know, buy whatever for myself or whatever in due time. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there because streaming is going to be maybe kind of an interesting schedule now, or what I do might vary. Like, I'm going to be kind of all over the place now. I'm trying to become a more variety streamer. I don't want to just stick to VNs or just stick to Truck Sim and City Skylines. I want to divvy it up a little. But yeah, I am very happy to do this stuff for y'all. It gives me catharsis, especially in a time where work is a little bit of a drought for me right now. But yeah, glad to be here, glad to play this for ya, and I'm really happy that I got to see this Password update. I was really looking forward to it from last time. So, with all of that out of the way, I should probably get ready for dinner soon, even though I snacked like an hour ago. I'm still gonna be hungry for it, because it was a tiny snack. Anyway, let me get to my streaming window. Stretch, stretch. Time to conclude the stream. There is no raid for this one because this is YouTube. We don't raid people. Unlike my Twitch, Dirk the Red Panda, no spaces, all lowercase. Yes, I also stream on Twitch, and you'll see my schedule. I'll have like a Twitch icon if I stream on Twitch that day, or a YouTube icon if I stream on YouTube that day. So yeah, I'm trying to bring out my little fancy schedule picture template, which was kind of fun to make. I did a little stream of it the other day, but got like part of it done. But yeah, that is it for today. Good day to you too, Slow Panda, and good day to everybody else. That is all for today, and remember, good vibes bring good times. Take care, folks.